You're watching Any Given Thursday. I am Harrison Graham. That is Chase Sr. Episode 8 is underway live on YouTube. We went live an hour earlier today because, well, I got stuff to attend to tonight, so we had to go live at 4 o'clock Eastern instead of 5 Eastern, but we're back at it, Chase, and a lot of hoops to get into, some NFL, and a lot of big college football stuff as well.
So many good NBA news and rumors, specifically a lot of NBA trade rumors that we'll hit on today's show. And then as we get into the college football conversation later on today, James Franklin, I think he's bolting Penn State after this year. All signs point to that. Could Matt Rule go from the Carolina Panthers back into the college ranks? Stay tuned to find out.
Lots of stuff to get into, but as always, we want the audience to build up a little bit here. So get that live chat popping. We got producer Jack, executive producer Marsh. Money Marsh is running the, what do they call it? What's the YouTube term for it? The
community?
Yeah, that's what we call it, but what do people in the chat call it? Like the admin, the moderator, or whatever? The chat mod? Chat mod. Is that the Gen Z term for that one?
That's the term that Gamer Dude uses.
Yeah, Gamer Dude. Hey, well, Gamer Dude's loyal, so I'm gonna lean on that. Shout out your city. He's gonna be interacting with you guys in the chat, and we'll of course be giving some shout outs as well. Marquise says, "What's up, Chase Sr. and Harrison Graham?" What's up, Marquise Robertson? Ja Morant most improved from big play KPJ. I could see that. He'd have to have a big year. Mark is in Charlotte. Daster is in Lando. St. Louis is where Everyday Jam is. I don't know where Renton is, but that is where Sam Z is. Big plays in Houston. What do you think about this, Chase? God says Westbrook trade, no cap. He's trash.
I love Clayton Lockhart saying, "What it do, Chase? What it do, Harrison? I just smashed that like button. Ready for a great show now."
Like the video. Westbrick. The Westbricks are already lighting up the chat. ATL is where the Atlanta analyst is.
L2 Clouds in the UK.
Yeah, he's always watching Bears now. Big game for both of our squads that we cover this weekend, Bears 49ers.
Man, it's a damn shame we won't see Trey Lance against Justin Fields. Instead, it's Jimmy Noodle Arm Garoppolo against Justin Fields, the soldier.
Garoppolo Dalton. I mean,
yes,
that'd
be bad. That'd be bad television.
Marquis says Columbia, South Carolina. Big Mike's in Cleburne. That's about an hour from us here in Dallas. Jackson, Mississippi is where Clayton's rocking. God says 10 turnovers in one game. Kind of sad. Yeah, we're going to talk about Russ a little bit later. It was a bit of a meltdown for him last night.
Lewis is body bagging Indianapolis, saying nobody knows where that is. We know where Indianapolis is. I actually used to drive through Indianapolis from Pennsylvania to Springfield, Illinois when I worked out there. So I know Indy well. Indy's actually a pretty good city.
Indy's a big city. There's, 500,000 people there?
Coach Dreadhead, what's good?
It's a big city. Come on. What's your favorite NBA team? Let us know in the chat. And by the way, like last week, peep the line below. You can keep up the tabs with what's coming up on the program. Favorite NBA team? Someone says the Lakers suck from Anish. People are talking. It hasn't been a good start to the season. Ugod says the Suns. Guillermo's in New York City. Magic City from
D Saturday.
D Saturday White. Anish, yeah, you hitting up Lemon Pepper Lou and getting those wings. TK4 Smith says Warriors. Give us some more shout-outs there, Chase.
Yeah, Mark Gabbert, Cavaliers and the Hornets, Bulls, Warriors from L2 Clouds, Pacers from Lewis, Clippers from Everyday Jam, Nets from Anish Anand. He's the one who thinks the Lakers suck. They've sucked to start the year. Still going to roll with the Lakers from Clayton Lockhart. Nets Nation. Nets from Guillermo.
Let me ask Clayton this. What does still going to roll with the Lakers mean? They were your favorite team a week ago, and after a slow start, they may not be soon?
Yeah, no.
We're not asking who you think's going to win at all. We're asking who your favorite team is.
Sam Z slept like a baby last night. That's great. I did not. I know 2 nights ago, Jack Lotteray did not either.
Better sleep well tonight. You got a big weekend coming up. Got friends coming in town. The girlfriend's coming in town.
Get that indica. You'll fall asleep, no problem. Yeah, I got friends and family coming into town. The girls coming in. Can't wait. I call my friends family because they are, just like you guys are family.
Chase said, Chase talking about sleep remedies early on in the show. Sabonis for MVP from Valdez. He's been good, but the Pacers are 1-4. L2 Cloud, Bulls and Warriors, Rockets from Big Play, KPJ. Let's see. L2 Cloud is saying Harrison. I think Marsh is trying to get them to pick a host here. So There you go. Well, we might go to it at some point. Oh, here we go. All right. Who do you like more, me or Chase?
Wow.
I guess you can type just Chase or Harrison. Nah, this is fine. Just type or C for Chase, H for Harrison. Type B for both. Yeah, where's your boy
Gamer Dude was here. I need all the votes in my favor.
He'd spam it about 50 times. Anish says Chase. L2 says both of us. I'm getting crushed. No surprise there. Big play. KPJ says Chase. L2 rolling with me. I'm glad my Bears guy is picking me. That'd be a bloodbath if he wasn't. Mark Anthony says you can live pull it. I don't care.
Yeah, live pull it.
Mark Anthony says Nets if Kyrie play. I wonder if it's because Chase does more of our NBA coverage. Could be. He's definitely better. There's no doubt about that. You know? But that could also play a factor.
Sam Z, Bill Belichick, MVP. Okay.
Pacers need Ben now from Valdez.
All right.
That'd be interesting.
Can't give up Malcolm Brogdon for a couple of months, but
yeah,
Sixers would take
wait.
him. DeMontis Sabonis, Malcolm Brogdon, Karis LeVert. There you go.
Speaking of Simmons, who gets traded first? BS for Ben Simmons, KI for Kyrie Irving. I still think it's Simmons, right?
Yeah, I think it's Simmons. I'd be hard-pressed to find a trade for Kyrie Irving out there. Kevin Durant leaves Golden State to go to Brooklyn to team up with Kyrie Irving, and you're telling me that in year 2 it's already going to be a disaster and it's going to crumble?
Could you imagine if
self-sabotage by
Durant
Kyrie
had never left and it was that team minus Andrew Wiggins, insert Kevin Durant with Jordan Poole and his emergence?
Yeah,
oh my God. They would just be running away with the NBA right now.
Evaldis, NBA biggest loser is Westbrook. Harrison and I agree. Right when the trade happened, we had let the people know.
He's a total
It could
fraud.
be bad.
The guy's a total fraud. BS for Simmons. L2 says Simmons. Mark says Simmons. TK says Simmons. So does Yoink. Marquise does as well. Trade Russ for Simmons if I was the Lakers. I don't think the Sixers would do that. Why would they want Russell Westbrook?
Russell Westbrook, Joel Embiid would be a disaster.
Clayton says Chase does the Lakers report, so got to pick Chase.
Hey, thanks.
It's usually him over there. That is true. That is true.
Appreciate that.
We did get a super chat from John Demetro. Ben Simmons for CJ McCollum. Why has this trade not happened yet? Maybe it's because of Dame's recent recommitment to Portland, and they want to run it back with him and McCollum one more time.
Yeah, and we're about to get into this here in a few minutes. We're going to tip off the show with some NBA trade rumors, starting off with Damian Lillard. He said recently on The Athletic that he wants to stay in Portland. A big reason for that is because of the hiring of Chauncey Billups as head coach. Now, Damian Lillard wasn't part of the group that kind of interviewed Chauncey Billups for that head coaching spot, but he said they really hit it off right away. So Dame, as of right now, wants to stay in Portland, and I think if he's in Portland, CJ McCollum will also be in Portland.
Appreciate the super chat. We'll be answering your guys' questions, kind of sprinkled in throughout the show. So if you want to get on the show, use hashtag NBA or super chat. We'll get to your questions fairly frequently throughout. So hashtag NBA or super chat to get in on the action. If you have an NFL question, you can throw hashtag NFL in there as well. All right, if you want the real show to start, then like this video. Let's get a few more likes before we jump on in. We got just 20 right now. Let's crank that up a few, and then we will jump on into the show. So hit that thumbs up icon. Let's see, a couple more questions coming in here. Marquise says, Chase and Harrison, I've been subscribed to all of the NBA and NFL channels, including the 2 new NBA channels, Knicks and Sixers. That's an OG Chat Sports fan right there.
Yeah, that's a real one right
Marquise
there.
wants to, Money Marsh, our executive producer today, wants to know, are you subscribed to Giants, Marquise? Yes, no, he's trying to catch up to Browns.
Richard Lee, trade Russ for Chase Sr. I wouldn't turn the basketball over as much as Russell Westbrook, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Kind of camp around the perimeter. I'd be a better three-point shooter as well. Look at this clean stroke. Cash money.
It's hard. Patrick Mahomes leads the NFL in turnovers, and Russell Westbrook almost matched him in one night. That's how bad it was last night. All right, appreciate you guys. Like the video if you haven't already. We're going to start today's show with some NBA trade rumors, so stay tuned for that. It's Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. here on Any Given Thursday by Chat Sports. Make sure you subscribe and join us every single week. We got a lot of NBA rumors, some trade buzz early on in the season to get into, Chase. but maybe not around Damian Lillard. Is he staying in Portland?
It looks as though that's the case, at least for now, and throughout the summer, these Damian Lillard trade rumors were just swirling all across the NBA atmosphere, but now they're somewhat silent because Dame, who voiced his frustrations over the offseason about the Blazers' lack of building around him being aggressive in free agency, said that I actually want to stay in Portland because of a conversation that recently happened with Chauncey Billups where they were really able to hit it off, and I found that to be somewhat surprising, Harrison, because Damian Lillard didn't really vouch for Chauncey Billups to get that head coaching job to take over for Terry Stotts, but he seems to like it right now.
Yeah, and this is what he had to say about staying in Portland and how he feels currently. Quote, everybody is saying what they think I'm thinking and what they think I'm going to do, but, like, I'm not leaving Portland. I think a big part of my change in mindset was me and Chauncey's conversations and where we think things are the same. There's not many people who see what I see, but a lot of what I see he sees, so that was very important to me. Like, that was a big deal. And I do think it's kind of interesting how he acknowledged, like, hey, no one knows what I'm thinking, but then he also acknowledged that, well, my change in thinking is that after I talked to Chauncey, I think I want to stay. So
yeah.
I do think at one point this offseason, there was at least a glimmer in his mind, Chase, that maybe I should request a trade.
Yeah, when there are reports coming out from guys like Chris Haynes, who used to work in Portland, knows Damian Lillard well, and has tapped into basically every organization across the league, I think that's pretty telling. Now, Damian Lillard has always said, I want to stay loyal to Portland. I'm not a fan of super teams. So for him to at least voice some of his frustrations, I think that's really, really telling. This is a really significant development, Harrison, because if a Damian Lillard trade were to happen, it would send a ripple across the entire NBA. We're talking about one of the best bucket getters that we've ever seen over the course of modern NBA history. For him to actually stay put, at least for now, with the Portland Trail Blazers, that's big news, especially for some of the other teams that wanted to trade for Damian Lillard if you take him off the block.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice feeling if you're a Blazers fan, right? Because after the way last season ended in an early playoff exit, you're probably thinking, especially with all the Dame chatter, man, that we've missed our chance. I mean, CJ could get traded as well. Dame's probably going to request a trade based on what's going on, but none of that happened, right? CJ's still in the fold.
Right.
Lillard recommits, or doesn't uncommit, I should say, his loyalty to the franchise. For now, though, I still want to, let's see where we're at in 2 months. Like, if this team's not in the playoff picture in the Western Conference,
things could change quickly.
I still think things could change because
Yeah.
Damian Lillard's not naive. He's not stupid. And if he wants to win a championship, there's still a pretty good chance that's going to have to happen with a different organization. I mean, we talked about it all offseason through free agency. This team didn't add any pieces.
No.
I mean, they literally did not
Brought back
add
Norman
anything.
Powell.
You bring back
Signed
Powell,
Tyler Zeller.
Dennis Smith, who
Yeah.
actually played okay the other night, but he's not going to be the difference in, making a run to the conference finals. So, Dame's been a loyal guy for a long time. It appears he's still in that mold right now, but again, I want to see what's going to happen in the next couple of months. We'll get to our next story in a second, but first, will Damian Lillard play the entire season in Portland? A lot of basketball to go. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you think Dame will finish this entire year in Portland? Now, if you want to bet on the Blazers to make the playoffs, or if you want to bet on any NBA basketball games or NFL games or any other sport, there's only one place to do it. That is with our friends over at BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code CHAT125. That's going to get you a 125% deposit bonus. When you put down $100, they'll give you $125 for free. That way you can make some money all year long. Maybe you're a sports betting beginner. That's where the promo money comes into play there. Chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code CHAT125. All right, Chase, let's hop into the latest around Kyrie Irving. Some people throwing the idea out there, maybe he'll get dealt. I know Bleacher Report did a bold predictions article saying, we believe that he'll get traded before the trade deadline because obviously with his unvaccinated status, the Nets have decided not to have him as a part-time player since he can't play at home. Where are we with Kyrie now that we're, 10, 11 days into the regular season here?
Well, Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, who's probably the most tapped-in reporter in the NBA alongside Shams Charania, had said, quote, Brooklyn is taking calls on Kyrie Irving. Big reason for that is because until he is a full participant with the Brooklyn Nets, they're not going to allow him to practice. practice or play in any games. Now, a Kyrie Irving trade would take a mutual trade partner, and there's a lot of moving parts here because if a team were to trade for Kyrie Irving, they need his cooperation because acquiring him, they would need assurance that he's actually going to play and not retire because there were reports several weeks ago that if Kyrie Irving were to get traded from the Brooklyn Nets, he would think about retiring. And it doesn't surprise me because he's been an interesting cat. He's somewhat flaky. You can't really rely upon him to be available for you 82 games in a regular season. Here's what's significant for me with the Brooklyn Nets as a franchise and Kyrie Irving tied into it. It's the fact that Brooklyn has really struggled this year. With the new offensive rules now that don't allow players like James Harden to go to their rip-through moves or create space with the off elbow or get some of those ticky-tack fouls from the referees, his offensive game hasn't been the same. Now, I don't think James Harden is in the peakest form of shape, but his offensive game, because of the changing of those rules, hasn't been the same. Brooklyn has really struggled. I thought they were going to be able to survive without Kyrie because James Harden and KD are two of the best players of all time. That has not been the case. Something we'll continue to watch.
Yeah, and just to kind of build on that point, Harden's quietly becoming a problem. I mean, he started out last season out of shape, especially with the Rockets, got into decent shape, but then had the injury issues down the stretch last year. Doesn't seem like he was able to get into tip-top shape this year. I don't know if that was him having to rehab and kind of rest that hamstring groin injury that he had toward the end of the season. I'm not sure because, remember, second straight year of a shortened offseason, so it's not like these guys had the full 3-4 months that they're used to have their bodies recoup. But with these rule changes, Harden's not getting to the free throw line like he normally does. Now, I trust him as a player to be able to adapt and
still
to
has
be
to
able,
step back.
and to be able to still find other ways to get to the line. But I think the days of him having 18 free throw games are probably over, based on what we've seen early on in the season. So he's going to have to adjust. He's going to have to be willing to hit more jump shots than he has in recent years because he can't just lower the shoulder down, lean in and get the foul. So that's going to be something he's going to have to figure out, and I think he's got to get into better shape as well. And so not only Kyrie being out is being a challenge for the Nets, but Harden, he hasn't been that co-star to Kevin Durant either. So we'll ask you guys this. Will Kyrie play this year? Type P for play, type W for won't. I mean, dude, I'll be honest, man. If he doesn't get traded,
I'm leaning W.
Yeah, man. I just don't see. I think it's at least 60% he's not playing if he's with Brooklyn. I mean, I get if the city restrictions get lifted, sure, he'll return,
right.
But he seems pretty set on his vaccination status. So if the city guidelines don't change, I mean, I think Brooklyn's fully prepared to not have him at any point this year. Let us know what you guys think. Give me a P for play or a W for won't. All right, how about Kristaps Porzingis? There's been some trade buzz back in the headlines around him. Bleacher Report kind of threw this one out there as well, Chase. And I've talked about this a little bit on our Mavericks channel, youtube.com/MavsTV. And obviously, Mavericks fans have a very complicated relationship.
A little bit contentious at times.
Yes. With Kristaps Porzingis because they've seen the high-end talent. The year of the bubble, he was tremendous before he got hurt down in the bubble. He had like a 15-game stretch where he was averaging like 28 and 12. He was unbelievable. But he got re-injured that year. Last year, he was up and down the whole year. He's off to a slow start this year. And guess what, Chase, as we bring you back in, he's got lower back stiffness. So he's, while it's not a major injury, it's something else once again, and that is the endless cycle of KP. So naturally, trade rumors have resurfaced here.
Here's the thing. When a big man is often injured, usually those injury issues don't
go
away.
Yeah.
They just don't. Joel Embiid, Kristaps Porzingis, back in the day with Greg Oden.
Even Anthony Davis a little bit now.
Anthony Davis. He's very, very brittle. So Kristaps Porzingis, it's crazy to think that he's only 26 years old, and when he is playing well, when he's engaged, when most importantly he's confident, he's a pretty solid player. I just don't believe that this long-term pairing between Kristaps Porzingis and Luka Doncic is going to work out. And when Bleacher Report puts out a trade idea like this, where the Mavericks could potentially receive Eric Gordon and Christian Wood, I think the combination of those two guys with the roster construction with Dallas is better than just having Kristaps Porzingis and then you ship away KP, Moses Brown, a 2025 first-round pick, and a 2022 second-round pick. I'd be tempted to pull the trigger on a deal like that because I think Gordon is a floor spacer, very good shooter. Christian Wood, really talented big man.
And let's be honest, is Wood as talented as KP? No, but he's more available and he's been more productive the last year and a half. I honestly might do this. Now, I don't love throwing the first-round pick in there, but it's 2025. It's kind of like, okay, are we is a pick 4 years from now the reason you're not going to make a trade? I don't really think so in the NBA. We know how NBA drafts go. They're a crapshoot anyway. And if you're Dallas, in 2025, you fully expect to be a contending team because Luka Doncic is fully into his prime at that point. And if you're not contending, well, you've got bigger issues at that point in time. So this trade package that we'll bring up again, and then we'll ask you who would win this trade, is fairly appealing because Christian Wood is instantly a 20-10 type of guy, and Eric Gordon, like you said, whether he starts or comes off the bench, can be a flamethrower at times offensively. So who would win this trade? Type M for the Mavs, type R for the Rockets. It might be a win-win because the Rockets get a nice, intriguing young piece in Moses Brown, who has flashed early on in his career. They get that first-round pick, and they get to dump a couple of contracts that may not make sense for their future. So let us know what you guys think, M for the Mavs or R for the Rockets. This trade was also cooked up
within that same article.
Within that same article on Bleacher Report. Chase, obviously, Ben Simmons trade buzz. No shocker there. What do you think about this trade? Break this one down a little bit.
I'd be intrigued by it. So there's no question that Ben Simmons' value has gone down a lot, partially because that situation that he's been dealing with the organization all throughout the summer, not reporting to training camp, reporting, getting kicked out of practice by Doc Rivers. Now, Paul Pierce was on a podcast and said it is very, very hard, almost impossible to get booted out of practice by Doc Rivers because he's one of the coolest, that's the word that Paul Pierce used, one of the coolest coaches that has ever coached an NBA team. So that goes to show you that Ben Simmons just kind of acting like a stubborn asshole. Now, he is dealing with some mental health issues. The Sixers not fining him because, according to the Players Union, players cannot be fined when they are dealing with some of those mental health issues. But when you look at a trade package nowadays with Ben Simmons, who I still think does have value, 3-time All-Star, back-to-back first-team All-Defense. I thought he should have won Defensive Player of the Year last year. And you can get back a young player in Colin Sexton who does what Ben Simmons does not, create off the dribble, has some wiggle off the bounce, really good score. I think he has all-star upside, and also you can get a stretch 4 like Kevin Love. Now George Niang has been playing well, as well as some future first-round picks and draft compensation. I'd think about it. At this point, I'd actually probably do it. When you look across the landscape of players that you could get back for a Ben Simmons, I think you're now to the level that once was James Harden and is now a Colin Sexton, a De'Aaron Fox, maybe even a CJ McCollum if the Portland Trailblazers at some point go downhill. You take a look at what Sexton has been able to do this year, Harrison. I'm high on the player. I liked him coming out of Alabama. He's a little bit streaky for me. Through the first few games of this year, yes, he's shooting 29% from distance, which isn't good, but he at least shoots the ball from the outside, which Ben Simmons does not. Tyrese Maxey off to a little bit of a slow start. Maybe he figures in nicely coming in off the bench as a flamethrower, energetic presence. Colin Sexton also still shooting 52% from the floor and almost 62% two-point field goals, averaging around 20 per night. So I'd do it. Would you?
Yeah, I mean, let's look at the trade one more time. Sexton, Love, and 2 firsts to the Sixers.
Some protections there. I think top 3 protections on those.
Still, man, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You're kind of getting 3 firsts there because I think Sexton is worth about 1 first.
I agree.
Maybe not a lottery pick, but a mid-late first. So you're getting kind of 3 firsts there. Yeah, the Love contract isn't great, but it's only got this year and next year on it, so you're not strapped to him for a long time. So let us know. Would you guys make this trade if you're a Sixers fan? Type T for trade. If you're like, nah, it's too much. Type H for hell nah. Thursday Night Football, this is a hell of a game tonight, and it's unfortunate that the Packers and the Cardinals now with J.J. Watt, who might miss the rest of the year, big bummer there.
Yeah.
Both teams are banged up. Devontae Adams, Allen Lazard, COVID for the Packers. J.J. Watt looks like he's going to have surgery.
How about that injury, too?
Dude.
He played the entire second half with a dislocated shoulder, a torn labrum, and a torn rotator cuff.
That's insane.
That's wild, man.
Still
wild.
a fun game tonight. For Thursday night, this is tremendous. Type GB for the Packers, type ARI for the Arizona Cardinals. We'll let you guys get your votes in, and then we'll kind of get to a couple of your NBA questions here, especially if you guys super chat. We'll get to those as well. Let's see here. Luis says Arizona. GB is coming in there. Ugod says Green Bay. Arizona's still a great team. Yeah, they're still. I do think, Chase, by the way, not that we're talking a bunch of NFL today, I think you gotta go get a pass rusher now, right?
Got to get a pass rusher.
I think you got to try and go get it.
They have some nice depth there in the trenches.
Yeah,
but
they've got Chandler Jones.
J.J. Watt's a big loss.
Yeah, no doubt about it. John with the super chat. What is this? I think Kyrie to the Wizards.
Kylie Jenner to the Wizards.
Oh. So I don't know if you're talking about Kyrie or Ben Simmons, because wasn't Ben Simmons dating Kylie Jenner?
He was.
So
yes.
if you're talking Kyrie, I don't think that makes any sense.
They signed Spencer Dinwiddie to a pretty large contract in free agency.
Would you take Dinwiddie in pieces for Simmons? Do you want that contract?
Oh, no.
No. I saw he dropped like 30 the other night.
No, I'm not taking Dinwiddie.
Hold on. I want to see what his average is. Honestly. He averaged 20 a couple years ago. Cutting in. All right. Chase, talk for a second here.
Yeah. So John, no, I don't think I would. So Kyrie to the Wizards, I think Bradley Beal, for whatever reason, is pretty content with the situation with the Washington Wizards right now, which is kind of very, very interesting because I think that if Bradley Beal were to request a trade, given the lack of playoff success with Washington over time, that he would probably be granted that just because he's been with that franchise for such a long time. So, but then Harrison brings up the point of maybe Spencer Dinwiddie for a Ben Simmons type of player. No, I wouldn't make that trade. I would not trade away Ben Simmons for Spencer Dinwiddie. I think you can get a little bit more for Ben Simmons than a Spencer Dinwiddie coming off that partially torn ACL. I like the player more as kind of a secondary option, though.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. As I think my mic is back working. All right, here we go. Let's talk. Keep it moving here. Let's talk a little Dallas Mavericks hoops. They sit 2-1 on the season. We'll kind of talk a little trade buzz around them, but then we'll keep it moving here on any given Thursday. He's Chase, I'm Harrison. Dallas Mavericks trade candidates is the discussion here on today's show. Ignore that misspelled word at the bottom. Not sure who did that one, but trade candidates the topic of this show. And hey, trade buzz always circulating across the NBA, Chase. So I cooked up a few names here around the Dallas Mavericks. And of course, the big one, Kristaps Porzingis. Could Kristaps Porzingis get traded at some point this season? It's always possible. You can't rule it out.
We keep waiting and talking about Kristaps Porzingis having some type of breakout season, getting back to that form that he was in the NBA bubble season, or maybe with the New York Knicks, and it's just not happening, Harrison. At some point, he is what he is, and I think Kristaps Porzingis is an overrated player. I'm not sure about the fit alongside a guy like Luka Doncic, so I think that if the Mavericks get off to somewhat of a slippery start, they're not able to find their footing, and the win-loss record isn't what it should be with a pretty talented roster and one of the best players in the NBA, I think about dealing him.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all know this is a pivotal season for Kristaps in Dallas. There was a lot of tumultuous chatter in the offseason because of, you know, he didn't get along with Rick Carlisle. Him and Luka weren't along. Apparently, him and Luka's relationship has been repaired this offseason with the new staff led by Jason Kidd, but he's been off to a little bit of a slow start. Now he's, dealing with a little bit of a tweaked back. This is a big year for him. If he's going to be a part of the Mavericks' future long term, a.k.a. getting another contract potentially at some point, he's got to stay healthy and he's got to play pretty darn well. If we get closer to the All-Star break and the Mavs, maybe they're hovering around 500 or something like that, that's not the goal or the expectation, but if that ends up happening, then maybe you consider shopping KP and going in a different direction. Definitely a big couple of months coming up for him.
Guy's 7'3", 240 pounds, and even though he's 26 years old, these injuries continue to surface, and I think that's really, really problematic, and they all seem to be lower body injuries, and now he's dealing with a back ailment, and that all has to do with compensation here, overcompensation there, your body just being all out of whack, and look, when you're 7'3", sometimes the body doesn't agree with you at times, and This has been the common theme with Kristaps Porzingis over the last few years. You need to have and make Luka Doncic happy. And if he's not happy, you need to do whatever you can to make that dude happy because he's one of one.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. So what do you guys think? What should the Mavs do with Kristaps Porzingis? Type T for trade him, type K for keep him. I think for now you got to keep him because I don't know what his trade value is really going to get you in return. So type T for trade, or you can give us a K for keep. Let's go to Dwight Powell, and this is a name I brought up before the season because quite simply, Chase, and they just have too many bigs on this roster.
Yeah,
there's
a lot
just
of
a
bigs.
ton of bigs. Two of them right off the bat here in KP and Dwight Powell. That doesn't even include Moses Brown, Maxi Kleba, Boban, who you know they're not going to trade because him and Luka are good pals. They got like 5 or 6 dudes over 6'10". Like, does it make sense to have this many bigs on your roster? Powell has a tradable contract. I think he could get moved.
No, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have so many bigs on the roster when this roster should be built around Luka Doncic. I think ideally because he has such a high usage rate and he creates and manufactures so much of their offense, you want playmakers around him or guys who are content with floating around the three-point perimeter, also really good slashers. Now, for a big man, I think Dwight Powell does a pretty good job of that, being a cutter to the basket, giving you a little bit of defense. At times, he can stretch the floor just a bit. So it's almost process of elimination. If you trade away Kristaps Porzingis, you probably want Dwight Powell. If you keep KP, maybe you trade away Powell for another playmaking guard.
Yeah, again, to build on the point of this roster, it's not a bad roster, but I think you need more wing help. If you could flip Powell and a pick or Powell and one of your lesser guards or something like that to get a 3-and-D piece in here at the trade deadline, I think that's something you should try to do because Dwight Powell, Moses Brown, Kristaps, and by the way, I'd like to play Moses Brown more. You've also got Kleba. You've got Boban. Willie Cauley-Stein was the guy I couldn't think of earlier. That's 6 dudes over 6'10". You don't need that many guys in today's modern NBA that are pure 4s and 5s. You need guys who can play 2 and 3, and the Mavs don't have a ton of those guys, if we're being completely honest. They got Reggie Bullock and Sterling Brown in the offseason, but they could certainly use another player at that wing spot, and I think trading a guy like Dwight Powell is possible and maybe even a real possibility coming up in the next few months. BetUS is our sportsbook partner here at Chat Sports, and for you Mavs fans, we have a deal for you. Go to chatsports.com/MFFL. Use our promo code MFFL. Put down $100. They'll give you $125 for free. If you want to bet on the NBA all season long, BetUS is the place to do it. We also have recent MVP odds. Luka entered the season as the favorite, but Steph has been unbelievable. He's at plus 500. Luka's still up there at plus 650. So is Giannis and Kevin Durant. Those are kind of your top 4 guys right now. Chatsports.com/MFFL. Use that promo code MFFL to get 125% deposit bonus. All right, Chase, a guy that you know and know well, Jalen Brunson, who I know you're a big fan of, kind of plays that 6-man role for Dallas. I think he's kind of one of the big pieces that Dallas would have to make a tough decision on if they tried to bring a better player in here at the trade deadline.
I know he was rendered somewhat useless in the playoffs, which was really weird to me. His minutes were down, his numbers were down, and his production just wasn't there like it was in the regular season. I was kind of flabbergasted by it. I understand it was a bad matchup for Brunson, and I think the reason why he slid to the second round, pick number 33 several years ago, coming out of Villanova when he was the National Player of the Year, won 2 natties while he was with the Wildcats, is because he's never been a guy who has the most explosive athletic qualities, right?
Yep.
But I really like Jalen Brunson, and I think this year you've seen a pretty confident player. I saw that in spurts last year, but I think the Mavericks should keep Jalen Brunson. I think he brings a lot of value to this roster. I'm not sure he's going to be a starting point guard for the long term, but I know that he can at the very least be a backup solid point guard who can play 20 to 30 minutes per night, bring you championship qualities when it comes to leadership, him being very composed in the guts of the game, him coming through clutch because he's played in a bunch of big games throughout his career, basically going all the way back to high school because he was such a highly touted recruit. I talk about all the success he had at the college level. I would not trade away Jalen Brunson. I think guys like this who can defend, guys like this who can play make, guys like this who can shoot and create offense in a variety of ways, I like to keep those guys on my team, especially when they're affordable like I think Brunson will be.
I think the only way you would consider moving him is if it's part of a package to get an all-star in return. So what do you guys think? Would you be willing to trade JB in a package for an all-star? Like, what if a CJ McCollum becomes available? Would you trade JB, another player, and a pick? Let us know. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Would you be willing to trade Jalen Brunson? Last guy, and this kind of circles back to the Dwight Powell conversation. If you don't want to move Powell or if you can't get a trade for him, Kleba's probably a more valuable piece. His contract is a little better to trade because I think he's a better player. Maybe he could be an option. I personally would rather keep Maxi Kleber and trade Dwight Powell. That's just my opinion. Powell post-Achilles hasn't been that same consistent energy guy that he was a couple of years ago, whereas Kleber is one of the most valuable defenders on this basketball team. He can guard 3s through 5. He can switch well on pick and rolls and hold his own against guards. So I would probably keep him. He's also a much better three-point shooter as a big man, but he could be a guy in a bigger trade that teams are actually obviously, really looking for. A lot of teams aren't searching for a Dwight Powell, but Maxi Kleber's a valuable player, so maybe he could be an option to trade at some point as well. Mavs fans, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more Mavs news, rumors, and videos throughout the NBA season. We're cranking up our coverage now that the season is here and that Mavs basketball is back, so go ahead and subscribe and don't miss any of our coverage. All right, so those are the 4 guys to kind of keep in mind as the season gets underway here. Kristaps Porzingis, Dwight Powell, Jalen Brunson, Maxi Kleber, some potential trade pieces for your Dallas Mavericks. Again, subscribe, youtube.com/MavsTV. One more question. I'll let you answer this one as well, Chase, but obviously you guys in the audience. Most likely Mav to get traded this year. Who do you think it is?
The one I want to get traded is Kristaps Porzingis.
You're out
I think Jason Kidd has been so steadfast in trying to make it work, so I think it's one of those other secondary guys.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments. Most likely Mav to get traded. Jay Lou says Powell for Dragic. Goran Dragic is the popular name that Mavs fans and the Mavs in general have been linked to since the offseason. He has $19 million on his contract this year, though,
yeah.
So you have to match
Expensive
salary.
Player.
So I think that's going to be one of those at the trade deadline, Chase. If they can't find a trade, they meaning Toronto, they'll just buy him out after the trade deadline. Then you could just go sign him. I don't see the Mavs trading for him.
What's interesting, too, he's getting DNP'd by Toronto.
I'm not trading for that contract.
They're kind of trying to keep him healthy, in my opinion, so that at some point they can trade him away.
Maybe someone gets injured for a team gets desperate, wants to trade for him, but that's just too big of a contract to trade for, in my opinion. So even though it's just for this year. Let's see. Someone says Brunson, Dwight. Well, KP for Bradley Beal. I think the Wizards say, fuck no, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so
no, I don't think so.
I think that one's going to happen. All right. Appreciate you guys for tuning in for that. Let's jump on into what's happening with the Lakers. Another meltdown by Russell Westbrook last night. So we're going to talk about the purple and gold.
We're going to get another headset for you, Harrison.
Are we cutting out?
Oh,
my
go
goodness.
in and out. Let me give some shout-outs to some of the people watching right now. Everett Whitman, KP, Rashard Lee, JP. Rashard Lee also saying KP for Bradley Beal. Washington would never. Bradley Beal, one of the better bucket getters in the league. KP for Siakam from Roman Gonser. That'd be really, really fascinating. KP for Patrick Williams. I don't think that really works for Chicago because you already have Nikola Vucevic, who brings you a lot of the same intangibles as well as offense as Nikola Vucevic. Iron Lion. We see in the chat as well. Charles, Toronto would say no, but that is a decent trade. Michael Henkel, Westbrook, the gift that keeps on giving, at least for me. Who wants the Lakers to fail? Look, we're about to talk about Russell Westbrook and the Lakers here in just a few moments because he had a quadruple-double last night. The points were there, the rebounds were there, the assists were there. He also turned the basketball over 10 times. It was really, really ugly. So for those rooting for the Lakers' downfall, you're starting to see in the early going that Russell Westbrook not necessarily living up to expectations. Laker Nation has gotten the full Russell Westbrook experience. KP for Hield and Bagley coming from Dump. KP for Brogdon and Miles Turner from Flamer Halili. All interesting trades here. As we go into the NBA trade deadline, obviously that's not in a couple of months. There are a lot of big-ticket players who could get traded. Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard saying he wants to stay in Portland. We'll see if he holds serve on that. Iron Lion saying I'm a big LeBron fan. Westbrook sucks. Alfie S. KP for DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray, pretty good point guard in the loaded cast of very solid point guards in the NBA right now. H. Graham, you back, man?
I don't know, man. I hope so.
Yeah.
I can hear you better in my ears, so maybe that other headset's on the fritz. Who knows? So,
okay.
All right, we're gonna try and give this a go.
That's the beauty of going live.
I know
you get to see it all.
Hey, that's the beauty of this show. It's a laid-back show. We do things on the fly.
We just
No
get those
big deal.
cuts. We're the cut daddies.
Exactly. That's what they call us, the cut daddies here at Chat Sports. All right, let's talk about the purple and gold coming up right now. Any given Thursday, rolling along, Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. with you. Let's talk about the Los Angeles Lakers here. And, Man, another meltdown on Wednesday night, led by, guess who, Russell Westbrook, as LeBron James missed another game. He had a quadruple double, Chase, but typically you don't want that because rarely is it 4 good categories, because 10 of those, they were turnovers.
For Russell Westbrook, it was the peak Russell Westbrook experience in his return to OKC. The points were there. The rebounds were there. He was dishing out the basketball, but also he was turning the basketball over 10 times, and that just is not a winning formula. Now, this was without LeBron James, who missed his 2nd consecutive game with that ankle injury that is not expected to be a long-term injury. But Russell Westbrook, going back to OKC, was emotional. He was trying a little bit too hard, and you could tell and see that play its way out on the basketball court. He wants to win so bad that sometimes he tries too hard, and he just pushes the pedal to the metal, and that leads to a reckless style of basketball. I was sitting and standing right in this position when the Lakers made that trade for Russell Westbrook earlier on in the offseason. Harrison Graham was right there to my right, and we had said, be warned that Russell Westbrook, while being a great and breathtaking player, a future Hall of Famer who no doubt has put up monster numbers throughout his entire career and has been one of the best playmakers that we've ever seen, is also a very, very frustrating player to watch because of what you saw last night. Did we really think that Russell Westbrook would change? This is Russ. This is the Russell Westbrook that we've been seeing over the last several years. That's why KD didn't want to play with him, and he bolted for Golden State. That's why James Harden no longer wanted to play with him. That's why Bradley Beal probably told the organization, I don't think this is a winning formula for deep postseason success if it's myself and Russell Westbrook. While he's very entertaining, he's also very, very frustrating.
Look, at the end of the day, and we'll ask you guys this question, are you concerned with where Westbrook is at this point? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Do you Laker fans have concerns with how Westbrook fits here? End of the day, Chase, you're not on 4 teams in 4 years by accident. You're just not. Especially a guy who's considered a star. Why does he keep getting moved? Well, because you can't win with them. That's what it comes down to. Let us know. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Are you concerned with Westbrook in LA?
Even with the Lakers struggling to start the season, they are still atop the NBA betting odds to win the NBA championship. So if you don't like what you're seeing from the Lakers, you can fade the Lakers, which means you bet against them to win the NBA title. All thanks to our sportsbook partner, BetUS. If you go to chatsports.com/Lakers, enter the promo code Lakers125. We cooked up a custom link for Laker Nation. You get a 125% deposit bonus. Put $100 into your account. Using that link in that promo code, you get an additional $125 back.
At the end of the day, and I'll build off what you said, Chase, Russell Westbrook is not a winning player.
It's a great way to put it.
He's just not. Is he fun to watch? If the All-Star game is on, am I tuning in? If he ever does a dunk competition, I'm in, because the guy is a freak of nature. He can jump 50 inches. He's explosive. He's exciting, but you can't win with him. You just can't. And just a few nights ago, we saw him play awesome, and you're like, man, this is the Russell Westbrook that the Lakers wanted to get. 2 nights later, he goes up against the worst team in the NBA. What does he do? 20 points, 14 rebounds, 13 assists. That's good. 10 turnovers?
That's bad.
10 against the freaking Thunder? The Thunder aren't even trying to win. They're trying to play their 20-year-olds. I mean, it's an embarrassment when Kenrich Williams, shout out TCU, my boy, is getting in your grill at the end of the game after Baisley throws down that dunk, is saying, what'd he do, because Westbrook has a meltdown and gets ejected. That's embarrassing. It's like, dude, how are you letting Kenrich Williams get up in your grill? Well, because you put up a pathetic performance like this. You melt down in front of the fans that used to love you, and they booed him off the court, by the way. How far has this guy fallen where Thunder fans are booing him out of the arena?
Yeah.
It's just, I know we want this to work in LA, and I know you Laker fans are like, man, LeBron can rein him in, and I know it's early.
He's not going to change.
But he's
far into his
never
career.
going to change.
Yeah.
This is who he is. It's like you said, it's year what, 12, 13?
He's been in the league a long time.
How many guys change who they are this late into their career. Some guys can, like a Derrick Rose was able to, but that's because he had to because of injuries.
Evolve. Russell Westbrook has not adapted and evolved.
Yeah, he's like where's the cowherd analogy? You got to evolve and be innovative as a company. He's MySpace.
Yes.
It was great 10 years ago, but there's a reason it sold 8 years ago.
Because he's turning the basketball over an average of 6 times per game, and I understand the Lakers' logic and thinking when they approach this trade, and they're like, and we're about to get to Buddy Hield too, and whether or not that was a mistake not trading for him. But the Lakers' thought process was, okay, LeBron is about to turn 37 years old in December. Anthony Davis has been brittle. For the Laker truthers who go against me on that, that's just a fact, right? And we need Russell Westbrook, who's always available, who always seems to be healthy, to play all the time while those guys either miss games by design or because of injuries. But this is not a winning formula. And when it comes time for the playoffs, do you want Russell Westbrook on the floor late in games if he continues to turn the basketball over like this? No, not at all. We're going to continue to talk about all the latest Lakers news and rumors right here on the Lakers Report. Make sure you subscribe. We just surpassed 39,000 subscribers as one of the largest Lakers news and rumors channels on YouTube. So if you like this coverage, hit that red subscribe button down below. Let's talk a little Buddy Hield now, Harrison.
And that's what's so frustrating because you're a week, 2 weeks into the season now, and you're thinking, man, why did they trade for Russ? Well, they didn't have to because they reportedly, and we broke this down on, was it draft lottery night?
Yes.
When this trade went down for Russ, they also had a Buddy Hield trade on the table, but they opted for Russell Westbrook instead. And my God, early on in the season, that's looking rough for 2 reasons. Chase, 1, Westbrook is not a good fit in LA or anywhere, if we're being honest. And 2, Buddy Hield is back to being flame-throwing Buddy. He has been lights out for Sacramento early on. It's just brutal when you think about it. You could have saved half your money. Russ is $42 million a year. Buddy Hield's about $20 million. And you could have got a player who fit better. It just is not good when you think about it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the live chat as we record this on any given Thursday, live on Thursday. We go live every single Thursday. Gibran is saying these talking points are a little predictable, and angle worth exploring, adjusting rotation so that LBJ and Russell Westbrook are leading different units. And I understand your talking points here, but this has been Russell Westbrook's story his entire career. He has always been a frustrating player, a maddening player who doesn't have a great feel for the game, who you don't want on the floor late in games because he's reckless with the basketball, whether he's trying to pass it or trying to get to the cup. So I do think the Lakers should have traded for Buddy Hield. I said this at the time. Now it's becoming more true now as we're a few games into the season and the Russell Westbrook experience isn't working.
Look at that.
And you know who probably
shooting.
Wishes that he was on the Lakers right now? It's Buddy Hield, because he's coming off the bench for the Sacramento Kings, yet in 4 games, he's been a flamethrower off that bench unit for Sacramento and Coach Luke Walton, who the Lakers know well. 18 points per game. He's shooting 44% from three-point range. You know what the Lakers don't have a lot of, Harrison? It's shooters and floor spacers, and Russell Westbrook is not solving that problem anytime soon.
Buddy Hield's fit would have been so much better than what Russell Westbrook's fit is, because when Russ, LeBron, and AD all play together, they all sort of can shoot, although Russ can't really at all. LeBron and AD can stretch the floor, but that's not their strength. That's not what they want to do. LeBron doesn't want to be jacking up 8 threes a game. I'm trying to envision LeBron and AD running pick and roll, pick and pop, and then Hield just waiting on the weak side, ready to catch and shoot. You don't think that would have worked beautifully? Because I do. Instead, you got a guy who just clogs up the paint because people don't respect him as a shooter in Russell Westbrook. And now you're seeing the results. You're seeing the results of Russ turning it over all the time. Buddy Hield knows exactly who he is. He's a catch and shoot guy. Russell Westbrook, he's never known who he is. That's the biggest problem with him. He can't stay out of his own way. Whereas Hield is like, yeah, I'm cool being the number 3 or 4 guy. I'll just shoot 10 threes a game. I'll make 4 of them, and let's go get this money. Like that's what Buddy Hield would have done for you. But instead, you got Russell Westbrook, and you're paying the price early on in the season. So I think it's pretty clear. I've given my thoughts. Chase has given his thoughts.
Yep.
Who's the better fit? Who would have been the better fit? Type R-Dub for Russell Westbrook. Type BH for Buddy Hield. You save money. You get a better fit. It's Buddy Hield, man. They should have traded for him. BH for Buddy Hield. And, yeah, he could have been a piece for the future. It's not even just a current play. Absolutely brutal. RW for Westbrook or type BH for Buddy Hield. All right, so obviously, it's been a tough show for you Lakers fans. We're not trying to just beat down this team. Good news is, Chase, very manageable schedule coming up. Hopefully LeBron gets back and they can win some games here.
And if he doesn't come back, you can afford to not have him in the lineup because a lot of these games are winnable, right? You should beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. You should defeat the Houston Rockets on that back-to-back on that home-and-home. November 4th against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's get back at them to get some revenge, right? And then you're on the road against the Portland Trailblazers. A lot of these games coming in your home territory as well. Got to reel off some wins here. Now, I'm of the belief that it doesn't really matter which seed the Lakers get in the Western Conference playoffs as long as LeBron and AD are healthy, but it is a very competitive conference, so you need to start piling up some wins here.
Yeah, I mean, just for continuity, you got to win some games, and you need LeBron to get healthy because if you're stuck with Russ, which you probably are, you got to get him and LeBron playing together, and you got to be able to see how this duo, or trio, I should say, with AD can maximize. I don't think it's a good fit. I don't know how much better it can get, but you got to try and see if this trio can get healthy together and make it work, because early on, whether injuries or not, it just isn't looking that good. So hopefully LeBron gets back and this team can start winning some games. Let's go back to this question. We'll give some shout-outs here. Are you guys concerned with Russell Westbrook? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I don't see how you couldn't be, Chase. It's just not good right now.
Yeah, double Y for me. I'm concerned about the fit. I'm concerned about the player. I'm concerned about the style. I don't think the style is conducive to winning, and I've always felt that way about Russell Westbrook. While he's very exciting and one of the best athletes that we've ever seen in the history of the NBA, I hate the way he plays the game.
We were concerned on draft night, or draft lottery night when they made this trade, heavily concerned.
People were ripping us,
and somehow it's been worse than we thought. Yeah. Not only has it been bad, it's been even worse. Just unbelievable. L2 Cloud says yes.
Yeah, as Tua Tagovailoa would say, I'm not concerned.
But I'm concerned. TK says yes.
I don't not feel wanted, but I don't feel wanted.
I'm not saying Alizai is the only person saying no. Oh, Braun says no. No, they'll be fine. Don't be a prisoner of the moment. I'm not. We have 10 years of this.
Yes.
And hey, how about post KD era? I won't blame Russ for their lack of success with KD and with Harden. We're still 5 years post KD.
Yeah.
I mean,
people are saying, "Oh, you're just saying this now."
Guys,
we got receipts, cuz.
Yeah. His first year, he won an MVP with the Thunder. Once Durant left, they flamed out in the playoffs in 5 games.
Yeah.
You get Paul George to come team with you. He skates out of town after signing the max because he's like, I can't win here. You go to the Wizards with Bradley Beal. See ya. Like, the theme is Russ. No one can win with him. Like, he is the theme. He is the common denominator. And
Coach Dreadhead knows his hoops.
Yeah,
he knows what's up.
It is what it is, man.
Let's see what he has to say.
Get a couple of questions in here. I would love to see Grizzlies trade Jarrett Culver for Terrence Ross, but where do you think is the best landing spot for Ross and for who? First of all, Terrence Ross is a pretty good player. It's going to cost more than Jarrett Culver. Culver's still a nice young piece, but there's a reason Minnesota shipped him out pretty quickly.
This would be his 3rd team.
Yeah,
in the last calendar year.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he got traded again.
Ross might get you a first-round pick. He's a really good 6-man type of player.
Robert Bruce is back.
Oh, yeah.
What up, brother?
What he's saying. Hey, Chase, Harrison, Sam, Jeremy, Jack, Trace, great job as usual.
No Marshall?
Marshall in shambles as usual. Do you think with the moves the Celtics made in the offseason that they'll be better than a 7 seed?
They should be.
They should be.
But this season hasn't gotten off to a good start, and they look a lot like they did last year when they had an even record at 36 and 36.
New head coach. How much does that factor in? But yeah, they've just, what are they, 2-3 through 5 games, I believe. Kind of a slow start. Go to another one here from Bronze Ben Simmons. Why is Russell Westbrook shooting so many threes? Because he always does and he always misses. He thinks he's the best player in the world.
Yes.
That's the problem.
And look, his confidence and his competitive drive have made him who he is, and that's what makes him exciting. But again, peak Russell Westbrook, where a couple nights ago against the San Antonio Spurs, he only took 4 threes, and there was good shot selection there. And then last night, bad decisions and bad shot selection. It's just so sporadic and up and down.
I just don't understand when he has these good games, these efficient games, why he doesn't play that way more.
Yeah.
It's like, he's a one of a kind player. I just don't understand what's going on.
And that's good. It's also bad.
Yeah, it's a train wreck, man. But you keep watching because it's entertaining. All right, let's talk about the Warriors next here on the show. He's Chase Sr. I'm Harrison Graham. Any given Thursday. I almost forgot the name of the show. Dude, I switched headsets once already. You know, it's one of those days.
Dub Nation, we got you.
Hey,
Don't
Dub
worry.
Nation, we got you covered. We're getting this train back on track here. You cooked this segment up, and I like this one.
Yeah.
Building around Steve Kerr's comments, comparing this team to the 2015 Warriors. Is something special happening in Golden State?
I think it's pretty fascinating. So in the Bay Area, the Warriors are off to a really good start, paced by a lot of guys. Steph Curry is having an MVP campaign. I know it's really early, but the depth of this team, really, really impressive. So while Steve Kerr doesn't necessarily think the talent of the roster in 2021 is equal to that team in 2015, which was Steph Curry's first championship alongside Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, he does see similar elements of this 2021 team that reminds him of that team back in 2015. He was asked about this on the radio. Here's what Steve Kerr had to say. I don't want to say, hey, yeah, we're just like the 2015 team. We can win a championship and win 67 games and all that. I think that's far-fetched. What is similar is the chemistry that exists and the unselfishness and the depth of this roster. The depth of this roster is something that I've been talking about ad nauseum here on Warriors Today by Chat Sports, and we're going to take a look at both rosters, Harrison, and I do want to get your thoughts on this. Let's go back to that 2014-15 season. After a couple of playoff disappointments with the Warriors, led by Curry, Klay, and Draymond, they finally broke through here, almost won 70 games, won their first NBA championship as a core, and this roster was really, really good. And I'm not sure this year's team is better than it, but let's take a look and dissect it. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Harrison Barnes, Draymond Green, Andrew Bogut. That was really your starting five throughout this season. Good job by producer Jack LaRay for cooking up this heater of a graphic, by the way. And then you had all these bench pieces. And this is where I kind of can see the comparisons that Steve Kerr is making. Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, Mo Spates, Leandro Barbosa, David Lee. Those were great complementary pieces to those starters. And the Warriors any given night could run 10 to 12 deep. And then you fast forward to this year. Imagine when Klay Thompson comes back, how lethal, how dangerous, and how unstoppable this Warriors team could be when already to start the year, they're off to a miraculous start. I like this starting five that's comprised right now of Steph, Jordan Poole, who really can go on a flamethrower, off the bench or as a starter. Andrew Wiggins has been great this year. Draymond Green, still an awesome defensive player. Kevon Looney, such a great glue guy. And then these are some of the other pieces. Of course, you have to factor in Klay once he comes back in December, January, February. Shoot, if they continue to win games, you don't need him back anytime soon. Let him recover. James Wiseman, everybody's down on him. I'm higher than most. Damian Lee having a great year so far. And then Nemanja Bjelica, Otto Porter, and Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, some of the rookies there picked at number 7 and 14, and Gary Payton II, who gets DNP'd sometimes, but when he's on the floor can make a lot of things happen. I like this comparison, Harrison, between the depth and the continuity and camaraderie of these teams that Steve Kerr is trying to make that comparison about.
Yeah, and I mean, people are forgetting about Wiseman. I thought he was coming on strong last year before the injury. I really think that's a bummer for this team because just for nothing else, they needed that continued growth last year, so to lose those last couple of months was kind of a bummer, but I still like him and his upside. Obviously, you know, LaMelo Ball is clearly a better player, but maybe he wouldn't have fit with this team, who knows, but I'm still high on him. I think the comparisons are interesting. Now, today, I'll still take that team from 6-7 years ago, but there's a lot to like about this squad. I think the depth, which I know you've been high on, is a big difference this year. That was a huge problem last year. When Steph would check out, this team, the plus-minus was just brutal.
Yeah, because Jordan Poole to start the year last year, really up until the All-Star break and a little bit after it, Jordan Poole was in the G League.
He looked like a bust.
He looked like a bust. Now, he's still in his early 20s, and he's anything but a bust right now. I love the confidence that he's been playing with on the offensive end of the floor. He can get a little bit better defensively, but they can mix and match their lineups. And on any given night, a Nemanja Bjelica can play anywhere from 5 minutes to 25, 30. The same can be said for Otto Porter Jr. Moses Moody at times has been pretty solid. Gary Payton II the other night was getting big minutes, hitting some threes. Really good as a defensive player as well. The depth has been outstanding, and that's really the comparison that Steve Kerr is making at the end of the day.
Look, I'll come out and flat out say it. With the Lakers struggling the way they are right now and that team not looking quite right early on, I think this is the team to beat in the Western Conference. I really do. I mean, you think about some of the contenders. Clippers don't have Kawhi. We don't know when he's coming back. Lakers are having their issues right now. Denver's without Jamal Murray for who knows how long. Utah and Phoenix, Chase, who were kind of the teams who ran the West in the regular season last year, they're off to slow starts. Why shouldn't the Warriors be considered the team to beat right now? There's no reason why, with the way Steph is playing, with the way this depth has come together, and if you get Clay back at some point, that's a big deal. I think this team can make a run to the conference finals and maybe even further as well. You got to like what's going on in the Bay right now. So pick one for us. It's a little early, but hey, the 14-15 squad.
Steve Kerr said it.
The 2021-2022 squad, type 15 for the 15 team, type 22 for this year's team. I'm still going to type my 15, Chase, but if this level of play continues and you get Clay back, hey, man, there's a lot of resemblances between the two squads. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Well, given Harrison's comments, maybe you want to gas the Warriors as title favorites this year in the NBA, and if you want to do that, you can do so with our sportsbook partner here at Chat Sports. It's BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet. Enter the promo code CHAT125. That allows you to get a 125% deposit bonus. If you're watching right now and you're like, what the hell does that mean? Well, you sign up using that link in that promo code, and you put in $100, you get an additional $125 back. That's $225 to game with. If you don't like the Warriors as title favorites just yet, maybe you like Steph Curry to win the NBA MVP. You risk $1 at plus 500 odds. You win $5 back. I think that's pretty decent value. I mean, maybe you want to throw $100 on that because upcoming on the show, we're going to talk about an NBA analyst saying it is a lock that Steph Curry wins NBA MVP. Right behind him, it's Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Durant, a loaded cast. This is going to be a fascinating race. Get your bets in, get ahead of the game with BetUS.
So we shift from the comparison to the 2014-15 squad to this year's, and one common denominator, Chase, is Steph looks like the best player in the world in both of those occasions. Kind of crazy to think that it's been 7 years since that team, and Steph, if anything, looks better than he was back then. The guy just doesn't age, man, and really it shouldn't be that surprising because he's never been a player, Chase, that's relied on major athleticism. He's very skilled, he's got a great handle, and we know he can shoot the lights out.
Yeah, and he's really shifty too. He's got that creativity and that craftiness to his game where he can just kind of use that movement to open up just a slimmer of daylight, and if you give Steph a slimmer of daylight, he's going to pop a tray right in your eye. Now, what's crazy about Steph Curry's start to this year so far, we think about him as the best shooter of all time, which he is. We think about him solely as an offensive player. He's been more than that, though, Harrison. 29 points per game, more than 8 rebounds. He's never been a big rebounder. I know it's early, but still, 6 rebounds, and he's shooting, of course, an unconscious 40% from distance. Steph Curry to start this year, HG, he's been Mr. All-Around Steph. Woo! Now, he's not going to be a first-team all-defensive caliber player. He can get picked apart on the defensive end of the floor, but he certainly makes up for that for what he is able to do on the offensive end. But he's creating a little bit more, rebounding the basketball. I know executive producer Marshall Green thinks that rebounds are useless. I think it's pretty telling, though, that Steph Curry is doing a bunch of everything. And here's what's wild. Throughout this week, in wins against the Kings as well as the OKC Thunder, if I'm not mistaken, he went scoreless in the fourth quarter. Warriors still able to get those dubs.
Look, Chef Curry's in the kitchen. The temperature is up to about 550 on the griddle right now. That's like when producer Marsh gets in the kitchen on these thumbnails, these gassers that you're seeing on some of these videos. That's where Chef Curry is right now, man. Like, he's picking up his chicken. His steak is medium rare. He's in his bag, man. He's making the shots that he's always made throughout his career. The range, I swear he adds a foot or two every year to his range. I mean,
as soon as he crosses
by
half
next
court,
year,
he's a threat.
He's gonna launch the three-quarters court shot, and people are not going to know what to do. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me with how good he is and how nice of a touch he has on his shot. He's just unbelievable. Here's what longtime ESPN NBA analyst Tim Legler had to say about Steph. He's feeling great about his play, saying, quote, Steph's going to be MVP. Write it down right now. Steph Curry's going to be MVP of the league. He's going to average around 30. They're going to be top 4 in the West. That spells MVP with this roster. Dare I say he's better than he's ever been? I mean, I think he is. He's shooting it as good as he has. He's more well-rounded.
He had the best year of his career last year.
Like you alluded to, Chase, with the increased rebounding, he's becoming more of a playmaker as he gets older as well. He's never going to be known for defense, but I think over time he's kind of at least learned how to become at least an above-average type of defender. He's played long enough where he's been able to not just be a complete negative on that end. This guy's better than he's ever been, and hey, if you're a Warriors fan, a lot to be excited about.
33 years old. He's on that avocado ice cream.
A lot
diet.
of resemblance to some of those title teams as well. So what do you guys think? Y'all agree with Tim Legler? Will Steph win MVP this year? Type W for win, type L for lose. Let us know in the comments section. I think he's the early favorite, Chase.
Oh, he's the early favorite, according to us, real ones, and also the betting odds, the smart ones. L2 Clouds, he thinks he's going to win it. J. Lou, dub for Steph Curry winning MVP. T4K Smith 77, what's Gucci? W, he could. Marquise Robertson, typing his W as well. L2 Clouds, W. Tom Downey's burner account saying no. Instead, Colin Sexton, he's a big Cavs guy.
What can the Cavs do to secure the 1 seed? They can trade for Steph Curry.
Every other team has to not play basketball.
Yes. Alice Hypen says, should the Warriors trade Juan Toscano Anderson and Moody for Harrison Barnes? Has JTA not been playing much this year? He was kind of a good find for them last year.
Here and there.
Maybe that was just a better story than
Sorry we left him out of the lineup.
Yeah, maybe we'll SEO him into that next video, see if he has any juice.
Kelly Oubre too.
Yeah, let's get the pool party as well. Say Oganubi? Let me know if I'm saying that
OG
right.
Anunoby, right?
OG, I don't think that's...
Yeah, it's OG Anunoby's cousin.
OG's his first name, dude. Come on.
I'm just messing around.
Come on, man. Maxi Cleveland should get traded to the Bulls for Derek Jones. OG Anunoby? How does that look like OG Anunoby?
It's all combined into one.
Oh my.
Say
Derek Jones for Kleba. I don't think I'd do that if I was
We appreciate
Dallas.
you, bro.
Jones is a good athlete, but Kleba is a better player overall. TK says, which team is better for Hield, Lakers or Warriors? I mean, Hield can play anywhere.
Yeah.
That's the beauty
I'd
of his
say
game.
Lakers because he fits in best
there. He needs
there.
a shooter.
Warriors don't really need him, but my gosh, that'd be the...
Could you imagine getting him back and
it'd
then
be the
Clay
Splash
healthy?
family.
The Splash Bunch.
Yeah, the Splash Bunch.
Oh, my gosh. That's funny stuff. All right, let's talk about the Boston Celtics now. 2-3 start. We'll talk about some trade candidates on their roster. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. with you on any given Thursday. We go live every single Thursday on Chat Sports. Be sure to join us. Let's talk about the Boston Celtics now. Some trade candidates for Boston. Bit of a slow start to the season, Chase. We'll see if this team ends up being buyers or sellers in a few months. But they do have some intriguing pieces that they could move on from if they decide to do so.
Yeah, it's a team that's been so sporadic, and what's frustrating for Celtics fans is that this version of the Celtics in 2021 looks a lot like that team last year that went 36-36 and got ousted in the first round of the playoffs. So because of that, we're looking ahead a little bit, looking at some Boston Celtics trade candidates, and up first, it's Dennis Schroeder, who I think has a lot of value, Harrison, because, look, he turned down that $84 million contract with the Los Angeles Lakers. All-time bad move, even though he flexed on himself with taking a picture with Rolls Royces and Bentley saying, yeah, my bankroll is just good. But I think Schroeder can be valuable because he's under contract for 1 year at less than $6 million, and he does a lot of things that are valuable in today's NBA. He can play point guard as a starter or coming in off the bench. He's always been in the mix for the Sixth Man of the Year award. He's a pretty good shooter, even though he's somewhat streaky. But as an offensive playmaker and an offensive player, I think he is pretty valuable. And in a trade, you can trade him away and get maybe a solid piece back or maybe even a pick.
Well, I think the reason he's valuable more than anything else, other than he does have those qualities as a player, is the contract's so cheap. I mean, we can dunk on Schroeder all we want, how he finished last year in the playoffs with the Lakers, this and that, how he turned down the money. A guy that can give you like 15, 5, and 5 pretty consistently, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, that's pretty valuable for $5.9 million. I mean, that's very easy contract to move. If you're Boston, maybe it ends up being a trade where if you're Boston, you're trying to swing for a bigger player, and you're saying, hey, we got Schroeder, who's a nice, cheaper piece. maybe a third team wants to take him on as a facilitator, and then you bring in one of those type of stars that could become available, a Bradley Beal or someone like that. You'd obviously have to move other contracts around, but his performance at that contract is one of the better contracts in the NBA, if we're being totally honest. So I definitely think moving him would not be very difficult whatsoever. What do you guys think, though? Do you think Schroeder should stay or go? Type T, if you think the Boston Celtics should trade him. Type K, if you think they should keep him. Obviously, very early on in the season. Let us know what you guys think down below. Let's go to our next guy here, a guy that I am just not a big fan of, Josh Richardson, who Boston added before the season. And look, we saw Dallas trade Seth Curry for Jay Rich last year.
One of the worst trades of all time.
It's maybe the worst role player for role player trade that's ever occurred in the NBA.
Yeah.
The simple fact here, Chase, is Josh Richardson has fallen off. A few years ago, this was like he was a textbook 3-and-D guy. Like, oh, he'll shoot 38% from three. He'll defend 2s and 3s, sometimes point guards, and his player efficiency rating is very good. He's the opposite of all that now. He's a below-average defender. He can't shoot at all, and you can't start him. So he's just fallen off. I know Boston's hoping to kind of recapture some of that ability we saw earlier in his career. I don't know what you would get for him in a trade, but early on in the season, he hasn't given Boston much. Yeah,
2018-19, Josh Richardson with the Miami Heat, a player development factory, averaged 16.5 points per game. And in that first-round series against Philly, he played really well, and his value was at an all-time high that year. And then from that point on, his game has really just tanked. He's always been a pretty solid defender, but the offensive consistency just hasn't been there. And a guy like that who plays good defense but is limited offensively just kind of kills you when he's a mainstay in that rotation. He's getting 17.5 minutes per game so far with the Celtics throughout the first 4 games of the year. Has not been good enough. So I think he could be traded at some point.
Jaylen Brown, who obviously it would take something pretty significant.
A Bradley Beal type of player.
Yeah, you'd have to be getting a star back or...
Celtics fans were cheering Bradley Beal last night, by the way.
Well, him and Tatum
wonder why. Him and Tatum are boys, but you think they'd like to see Bradley Beal at TD Garden?
Man, I'm so high on Jaylen Brown, man.
So am
I don't know if I'd want to make that trade straight up. Like, I like Beal, but I'd rather want to keep Brown with Beal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt. Jaylen Brown is an absolute stud. There's no other way to put it. And so much on Celtics Today, I talk about Jaylen Brown's development. I've always been kind of a hoops head. My first job out of college in Illinois, I watched a lot of high school hoops and scouted a lot of players who went on to play big-time college basketball. Some of them are in the NBA right now. So I love just seeing players who are raw and have a bunch of athletic ability work so diligently on their games to become better players down the road. And you see that year-by-year progress with Jaylen Brown to the point where you're like, okay, this guy at some point has a ceiling, right? Or maybe he doesn't, because he just continues to get better. The upward trajectory of his game is a credit to how much work Jaylen Brown has put into it. He's an absolute stud. You would have to blow me away with an offer to ship him out of Boston.
Yeah, because, I mean,
two-way stud.
When he first came in, you're like, okay, this guy's probably going to be a decent role player. Now you're thinking, could he be a top 10 player in this league at some point? Like,
is he a top 20, 25 guy right now?
Because
if you look at the best two-way players in the game, Jaylen Brown has to be one of the top 5, top 10 two-way guys.
And we'll let you guys answer the question. Would you trade Brown if you got a guy like a Bradley Beal, maybe a Dame Lillard type in return? Type Y for yes, type N for no. The reason I would be hesitant is, for example, I don't think we've seen Jaylen Brown's best basketball.
Which is crazy.
It's possible this is the best Bradley Beal gets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's very good. Mm-hmm. But Beal could surpass that, or Brown could surpass that, I think, pretty easily, especially with how he defends. So I would be hesitant. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Would you trade Jaylen Brown to get a proven all-star? Okay, a couple more here. Aaron Nesmith, second-year player who it just hasn't really worked out yet. I know it's early. He was injured his last year in college. They drafted him knowing that when he was banged up at Vanderbilt. But Peyton Pritchard certainly has been the best player for Boston out of that draft. He's just been pretty disappointing so far as a top 15 pick just last year in 2020. When you drafted him, okay, you're saying, okay, this is going to be a 40% three-point guy who's got real defensive potential. he barely crashes the rotation.
9 minutes per game. He's averaging 0 points.
He's
not good.
He hasn't given you much, man. And, maybe it's one of those throw-in type of pieces in a trade to see if another team tries to recapture that status he had coming into the draft in 2020. But he's been one of the more disappointing players in that draft. You think about guys in that draft, a Desmond Bane, who's a similar type of prospect, a 3-and-D guy who's averaging 20 points a game for Memphis. You don't think Boston would like to have that? I think they actually drafted Bane and traded him to Memphis in that draft. Just a brutal one there. Nesmith has not panned out for the Celtics early on, and I think that you might be onto something here mentioning him as a potential trade candidate.
Yeah, no, it's really disappointing what Aaron Nesmith hasn't been able to do. As I mentioned, he's barely getting any minutes, averaging 0 points per game. He's a lottery pick last year.
This roster's super deep.
It's not super deep, and they could really use him. And there were a lot of people who were excited about his game in the preseason. Just hasn't been good.
I'll tell you what, if we make a trade or if the Celtics make a trade, we're going to break it down here on Boston Celtics Today. So make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/Celtics TV. Get the latest Celtics news and rumors all season long. We're trying to get to 8,000 subs by the end of the month. I know it's just around the corner, but subscribe. Help us get there as soon as possible. All right, one more here. Juan Hernangomez, the big here. Chase, what are the offseason additions to this roster? Maybe get like a second-round pick for him or something like that?
Yeah, there was a short amount of time in Minnesota where people are like, okay, Juan Hernangomez, a big man who can shoot, stretch the floor a little bit. He's getting DNP'd by Boston and hasn't been able to crack that rotation. And he's already been traded a couple of times. So could Boston trade him yet again to a team that is like, okay, we've seen the ability. Hasn't necessarily been consistent, but he is a big man who can shoot, and today that does have a lot of value. I could see that possibly happening, and that's why he's on our list of potential Celtics trade candidates. He does have a little bit of value, and I like his game at times, but for Ime Udoka to DNP this guy after he played 52 games last year, getting around 17 minutes per night at 2019-20, a short while there with Minnesota, he's averaging almost 13 points per game. So I think the guy can play. I'm just not sure what's happening behind the scenes where he's just getting DNP'd.
So to recap our list here, Dennis Schroeder, cheap contract, he's easy to move. Josh Richardson, who's not worked out so far. Jaylen Brown, that would have to be for a superstar. Aaron Nesmith, and then Juan Hernangomez, 5 guys to keep an eye on between now and the NBA trade deadline. All right, who is the most likely Celtic to get traded this year? Chase, if you had to pick one of those, is it Schroeder, Richardson, one of those kind of second-tier guys?
I think it's Richardson.
Wow.
I think Richardson gets dealt. Yeah.
Unreal.
That'd be his third team in a calendar year as well, right?
Let us know.
Yeah.
Most likely Celtic to get traded this year. Some shout-outs here. Celtics wouldn't take Kyrie. They are not trading for Kyrie. That I can promise you. They do not want Kyrie back in Boston. No
that
chance.
was a disaster.
Someone says Robert Williams, a few teams have showed interest. They just paid him, so that would surprise me. Plus, you have to wait until at least December to trade guys who just signed contracts, I believe. Tom Downey's burner account says Jaylen Brown is extremely underrated. I agree with that. Would you trade Brown or Tatum? I'd rather trade Brown, but I'd rather keep both. I think they're both tremendous players. Robert Bruce with the question, think Jason Tatum is a top 5 player? No, not yet. He's not top 5. He's fringe top 10.
Yeah, he's fringe top 10. I think he might be in it.
The talent in this league right now is just tremendous.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
I mean, dude, think top 5. I mean, LeBron's still better. Giannis, Kevin Durant. I mean, that's already 3. Steph, Luka. I mean, they're all ahead of Tatum. And that's just 5 guys I just listed off in, 7 seconds. Probably top 10. He's close.
Yeah, he's
top
right
10. There. Embiid, Jokic. He's in the range for sure. Alzai Penn, do you think KD regrets leaving the Warriors for now or at this point? I mean,
how could you not?
I don't see how you can.
How could you not regret it when you don't know if Kyrie is gonna play?
I mean, let's put it.
That experiment maybe lasted 1 year.
If you ask me today, do I think this Nets core will win a title? I at least have to think about it.
Yeah.
Whereas if he stayed in Golden State, I'm pretty confident they're at least winning another title. I mean, imagine him on their team this year. You're telling me that team ain't winning the title?
They'd be unstoppable.
I mean, you wouldn't have Wiggins.
You'd have to get rid of somebody.
You wouldn't have Wiggins and probably at one of those second tier. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, you're winning
the title. You got KD, man.
If he stays, you're winning the damn title.
Arguably the best player in the game right now.
Yeah, it's just no doubt about it. Let's get to one more here. Marquise, Chase, Harrison. What about this trade? Kyrie for Russ. Also, I've been subbed to all our NFL and NBA channels. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Marquise.
You're an OG for that one. I think the Lakers would probably do it, but why would the Nets? I mean, I know that they're trying to get Kyrie out of there, but you want to reunite? First of all, I don't think Durant lets it happen. You think Durant wants to play with Russ again?
No chance.
No chance.
No. He left OKC because he didn't want to play with Russ any longer.
KD would not. He would. If they traded for Russ without KD's approval, KD would probably demand a trade. Mm-hmm. I'm not even joking. So it's interesting to think about, Marquise, but I don't think that's really likely at all. We're going to shift to some college football stuff. A lot of major rumors, some coaching buzz around Penn State, LSU, USC, and then Texas Tech as well. Could they hire an embattled coach? We'll talk about that. And then we'll also take a look at our college football playoff rankings projections because the first CFP rankings come out next week. So stay tuned. A lot of college football talk for the next 20 or 30 minutes. Talk a little college football here on any given Thursday. Harrison, Graham, and Chase Sr. Chase, November's almost here. That's when the coaching buzz really shifts into another gear around the great sport of college football. We have 3 big storylines to talk about right now. Let's start with James Franklin at Penn State, because just a couple of weeks ago, we've been talking college football every week here on any given Thursday. Subscribe and join us every Thursday here on Chat Sports. It went from, are they going to win the Big Ten, to if he's going to get a raise. Has he checked out? What's going on with James Franklin?
It's crazy what has happened to Penn State over the last couple of weeks. They're a top 5 team with an unbelievable defense, playing really high-level football with the top recruiting class in 2022. They go on the road. They go up 17-3 against Iowa in a top 5 matchup. Sean Clifford gets hurt. They were awful the rest of the game, end up losing. And then last week, with those clunky new overtime rules, they go 9 OTs with Illinois at home, and they lose. And then this week, James Franklin, in his press conference, is asked about Ohio State. He says, I'm only focused about Illinois and playing in the big house.
You already
The
played
problem
Illinois.
is you're not playing in the big house. You're playing in Columbus, and you're not playing Illinois, you're playing Ohio State. If Penn State gets drubbed this week, it's not going to surprise me at all, because on top of that miss, he was asked about all of these coaching rumors earlier today as we record this on Thursday, and he said, quote, I am fiercely loyal to Penn State, to these players, to this staff, but there's a lot of moving parts. He also switched agents to power agent Jimmy Sexton, who represents the likes of Lane Kiffin, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Steve Sarkisian, and some of the most high-end college football coaches out there. Do you think that he'd be hiring a new agent if he was staying at Penn State? I don't think so, and I think he's handling this poorly.
I got to tell you, man, this is one of the most poorly handled coaching buzz situations I can ever remember. And now I will say, it is very difficult to navigate these waters if you're a guy like Penn State or James Franklin at Penn State. Of course, you should always be open-minded about other opportunities. I'm not saying that. But I can never remember a coach admitting publicly, I'm committed to this program, but there's a lot of moving parts? What does that mean? And by the way, and I didn't see the full presser, so it's possible there was a follow-up, but how is the follow-up question not, hey, coach, what does a lot of moving parts mean? Like, that tells me, hey, a guy that we know switched agents, yeah, he's interested in USC. Yeah, he knows LSU is open as well. This is not being handled well. It's borderline unprofessional, to be honest, and that goes against everything James Franklin has ever stood for during his time as a college football coach, which is pretty disappointing because I thought he was more of the exception to the rule when guys get to the stature. He's been a Class A guy from the beginning, but this has not been his best month, if we're being completely honest, both on the field and how Penn State has played. I don't think his team was prepared against Illinois, and I think these distractions were a big reason why they lost that game. And now he's basically admitting without saying it that, yeah, I am interested in these other jobs. it's just not a good look, if you're being honest.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see how his team responds. They're 18.5-point underdogs against Ohio State on the road.
Shoot.
If they go out there and get dominated, I think they're all checked out because they realize that the leader of the program is all checked out. Now, I've defended James Franklin. What he did at Vanderbilt, considering how bad Vanderbilt football is right now, tremendous. He's able to take over for Bill O'Brien at Penn State during a tricky time in the aftermath of the Joe Paterno, Jerry Sandusky situation, and he's able to lead Penn State back into being a perennial top 10 program. As I said, top recruiting class next year. But he's lost a lot of big games throughout his tenure in Happy Valley, and I'm almost thinking now, if James Franklin leaves Penn State and Penn State hires Luke Fickell, is it a win and an upgrade?
It might be, man.
I think it might be. And I don't think that James Franklin hires a new agent if he's staying at Penn State. Some people are saying maybe he's using that as leverage to get more money from Penn State. He's making $6+ million a year. And if you're Penn State, do you want to pay him $7-8 million and make him one of the highest paid coaches in the nation? Probably not, because you could be 8-4, and 8-4 ain't worth $7-8 million a year.
No, I mean, you got Ohio State this week. You got Michigan coming up as well. Also, Michigan State. Those are all losable. This team went from, wow, Ohio State doesn't look like the team to beat this year in the Big Ten to 7-5, 8-4. Like this thing has shifted quickly. A lot. To quote James Franklin, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Will James Franklin be at Penn State next year? I'm going to type my in for no. We'll let you guys get your votes in. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. All right, BetUS is our sportsbook partner here at Chat Sports, and if you want to make some money all season long, well, this is the place to go. Chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code CHAT125. And if you want to get hooked up with a college football jersey or an NFL jersey, we got plenty available for you new BetUS customers. Follow these steps. Like I said, get going with BetUS, chatsports.com/bet, promo code CHAT125. If you deposit $100, that's the minimum. You'll get the $125 for free with the promo code. All you got to do, place a bet on any game for any amount. $5 is the minimum at BetUS, so just go lay $5 on your favorite team or your lay 5 against your favorite team, whatever it is, and boom, email us, jersey@chatsports.com. Send us your account number to prove that you got signed up. We're going to hook you guys up with a brand new jersey. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code CHAT125. Once you place a bet on a game, email us, jersey@chatsports. All right, number 2 headline, and Joel Klatt, who is a great college football analyst. I'm a big fan of his. He hops on with Colin Cowherd every week. They always have a good college football conversation, Chase. I know you listen to it as well.
Yep.
And you actually found this nugget for me. Klatt said that he's not reporting this, but he said he's heard that Matt Rule, not completely sold on the NFL, could potentially come back to the college ranks at some point. Could he replace Franklin at Penn State?
Yeah, here's what he said to Cowherd. I've been told that Matt Rule is not all the way in on the NFL moving forward and that he could potentially come down to any number of these jobs. And you're talking about the likes of USC, maybe Penn State if James Franklin leaves, LSU. There are a lot of marquee jobs in college football that are already opening or are going to open at some point. Now, I had the great luxury of covering Matt Rule when he was the coach at Temple. This guy is an unbelievable program builder. He lifted Temple out of the college football coffin. He did the same with Baylor, made both of those programs nationally relevant. I think he's done great things with the Carolina Panthers so far. Matt Rule to Penn State is fascinating to me. He went there. He learned under Joe Paterno. That's where his interest in coaching really started to pick up, even though his dad was a longtime coach as he was growing up. Now, here's the thing. I was told a couple years ago, because I do have some Temple ties, that Matt Rule's overall goal was to be an NFL head coach. Prior to coaching at Temple as the head man, he was the Giants offensive line coach, went back to the college ranks, and we know how that all worked out before several years later going back to Carolina. But maybe things have changed. Maybe he doesn't like the feel of the pro game. Maybe he understands this is really hard. Maybe he understands salary cap. I miss recruiting. I love developing these guys as players, also as men at the college level, and he's kind of getting tired of the NFL. This would be fascinating if Matt Rule, who I think would immediately become one of the top 5 coaches in college football, went back to the college ranks.
Matt Rule always has felt more like a college guy to me. Now, I do think he could be a good NFL coach. I think he's got Carolina in the right direction. I know they're struggling right now. They've lost 4 in a row, but he took over kind of a rough situation in the aftermath of Ron Rivera and Cam Newton and so forth. But I've always found him as a college guy, and here's why. And Chase, you covered him, so you'd be able to weigh in on this more as well. I think the way, and he really proved it at Baylor, in my opinion, as well, in the aftermath of Art Briles, which, ironically enough, we'll talk about him in a second. But his ability to connect to 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds,
fantastic.
Improve them not only as players, but as young men to mature these guys. That I thought he was very good at that at Baylor. And yeah, those leadership qualities are obviously very important in the NFL, but you're dealing with grown-ass dudes already. Like, these are all guys that are getting paid to be pros. Like, at the college level, it's one thing to turn a two-star into an All-American. You're working with pros in the NFL. It's all similar talent at the end of the day. His energy speaks college to me. I think his energy was a little higher when he was at the college level, in my opinion. Now, it's early on still for him in the NFL, but I think if Franklin moved on from Penn State, and Penn State's like, hey, we'll give you $7 million a year, you're telling me he's not at least considering that?
Hey.
Should be very fascinating. We'll see how it plays out.
This isn't an ask. This is a demand. No, I'm just kidding. But you definitely should subscribe to Chat Sports because we bring you the latest NBA news and rumors, NFL news and rumors, college football news and rumors. Basically, anything that's relevant or worth talking about, we have you covered here at Chat Sports, and we do it in a very interactive way. So make sure you hit that red subscribe button down below. Help us get to 270,000 subscribers. Next up, man, Art Briles to Texas Tech, Harrison? That could be kind of crazy.
A guy who's not a leader of young men. Let's talk about Art Briles here because
now he's denied all of these things that went down at Baylor.
Well, he was in charge of that program at the end of the day, and they were his players were running wild, to say the least.
Matt Rule picked them back up.
So Matt Rule saved the day there. Literally saved that program. It's not an exaggeration. Let's read this tweet and then let's talk about it because Art Briles back in the headlines. Anytime a Big 12 job opens up, he's back in the mix, it seems like. Jay Leeson, who works for Texas Monthly, said this. This is what I know. Art Briles is a Texas Tech candidate. It would come with more financial backing than any Tech candidate ever, possibly any coaching prospect in the state of Texas ever. Not saying it's going to happen, saying it's on the board right now. Don't shoot the messenger. Let me tell you what I know about this situation based on chatter I've heard over the last few years and what I think will likely happen. Number one, Art Briles, hiring him is not an option. I do know this. There are some very high and wealthy backers of Texas Tech football, some boosters there that are interested in Art Briles. And keeping boosters happy is important, but you can't do it to hire Art Briles. It is not an option. It's a PR disaster. Southern Miss, Chase. Southern Miss tried to hire him as their OC. They tried to sneak it past the Board of Regents, and it got overturned after he had a contract on the table because they were like, we can't hire this guy. This is Southern Miss, who has no national media coverage whatsoever. Yeah. And you're telling me Texas Tech is going to get away with hiring Art Briles? I don't think it's an option. You can't do it. I get it. He was, innovative offensive mind, did great things in terms of winning and losing at Baylor. Outside of that, I think his questionable leadership is well documented over the years. You can't do it. Kendall Briles, okay, I think you can do that. You cannot hire Art Briles, though. And by the way, Chase, he hasn't been a college football coach in 7 years. He's in his mid-60s now.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons why you shouldn't hire Art Briles. You can't be this desperate. You just can't.
Now, I probably wouldn't side with hiring Art Briles for all the reasons that Harrison mentioned. This is what I do know, and this is how I would approach this if I'm the Texas Tech Athletic Department, the president, the Board of Regents, whatever. Be aggressive. You cannot be scared within this search. You also can't be cheap. If you want to go out there and hire a guy like Jeff Traylor from UTSA, then do it, because he's had great success at a program that was on the scrap heap. He's lifted him back up, and he's done a great job developing talent, also has recruiting ties. This is an opportunity, if you get this head coaching gig right, to not be a player in the Big 12, but the Big 12 is wide open with Oklahoma and Texas leaving. You can at least be a team that goes 7-5, 8-4 on a year-in, year-out basis, and from time to time compete for 9, 10, 11 wins and have that surprise season where maybe you're competing for a spot in the college football playoff. Our guy R.C. Maxfield saying Texas Tech should try to be the Northwestern of the Big 12. I kind of agreed with that talking point. Yeah. Every couple of years, they're true players in the national conversation. If you got to pay a prime candidate $5, $6, $7 million, do it. Because if you get the right guy in there, like a Mike Leach, you can have success there in Lubbock.
Yeah, and look, I agree with being aggressive. It just can't be for Art Briles. I mean, you just can't do it. I'm sorry. He is unhireable in my opinion, but weirder things have happened in life, I suppose. Will Art Briles ever coach in college again? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. If Southern Miss can't approve Art Briles as their OC in the state of Mississippi, there is no chance, in my opinion, that Texas Tech is going to hire him as their head coach. But we'll see how it plays out. We'll have you guys covered. Give us a 1 for yes or a 2 for no.
But Harrison, everybody deserves second chances.
Not certain things, man.
Exactly right.
If you guys don't know, like, it is well documented how loose he ran that program at Baylor. And I've got stories that I can't repeat on air back to his Stephenville high school days that were very questionable as well. So, guy does not have a good track record. Let's put it that way. Tom Downey's burner account says no, he will not. Let's see. Time to get the boys drunk from Alonzo. Oh, my goodness. Should we get that? We got a super chat a minute ago.
I'll do a shotty for a 30-piece, Alonzo.
Marshall will come rip a shot for a $20 super chat.
Easy.
Here's a 5. Tom Downey's burner account says, as a Penn State alum, I hope Franklin leaves. Hell of a recruiter, awful coach. This is exactly what you've said.
Exactly.
Especially against
Tom
other
Downey's
ranked
burner
teams.
account knows. He went to Penn State.
Go to LA already. Hashtag Chucky. Oh, chuckle. That's pretty funny.
Chuckle fuck?
Chuckle fuck. That's good stuff. Thursday night football should be good stuff. Packers-Cardinals. I wish both teams were at full strength.
Me too.
We'll take Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray. Let's ride. Type GB for the Packers. Type ARI for the Arizona Cardinals. Who you got, man? Who you feeling? This game's at Arizona?
Yeah, so, it's unfortunate because this honestly could have been one of the best Thursday night football matchups ever. But the Packers have no wide receivers. Their defensive coordinator is out. J.J. Watt now maybe out for the year because of that shoulder injury that he suffered. I don't know how the Packers were 6.5-point underdogs, though. I know they're depleted, but is Aaron Rodgers just going to walk in there, big balls Rodgers, and say, I got this, let's ride? I could see it happening and keeping that game close. The Cardinals have to lose at some point, right?
Yeah, I think this feels like
shots for the crew.
My mind, yeah, here.
All right,
pick one up.
Let's ride.
My mind says Arizona, but I kind of feel like
pour me up, Buttercup.
I kind of feel here. I'll just give this one to Chase. I kind of feel like that this is an Aaron Rodgers, like, it don't matter who I'm playing with game.
That's what I'm saying, man.
I could see it.
I mean, shoot, six wins in a row for Green Bay, and then obviously the Cardinals undefeated so far.
Cheers.
Cheers, y'all. Tom Downey's burner account.
Appreciate the supers. Marsh always looking for a reason to drink. Thank you for that one. Thank you. Jumbo shots. I love it.
Yeah, that's a jumbo shot.
That works. Keep it up here.
Thanks,
okay.
Marsh.
All right, Marsh. Hey, you got that live chat going? Hey, we're rocking and rolling.
For real.
Yeah, once we dip from NBA, they kind of dip on out. But all right,
it's all about those cuts. We're the cut daddies.
Hey, the college, yeah, they don't want to.
L3, Harrison and Chase.
Oh, Art Briles coming up. We're out of here. No, college football playoff rankings. The first edition come out on Tuesday. I believe we're going to be live for that. Stay tuned for that here on Chat Sports. But Chase and I are like, screw wait until then. We're going to give you our projected CFP playoff rankings because we can't get enough college football here at Chat Sports. Let's get into it right now. He's Chase Sr. I'm Harrison Graham here on Any Given Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to us here at Chat Sports and join us live on the channel every single Thursday. That way you can get more college football videos. All right, the College Football Playoff Committee set to meet next Monday and Tuesday. They will release their first CFP rankings for this year on Tuesday, November 2nd. We'll likely be live on Chat Sports breaking that down. That is somewhat TBD with the NFL trade deadline also that day, but chances are we will be live. Let's look at the AP Top 25, Chase, and then we wanted to break down our projections of what we think the Top 25 will look like from the committee because we know they don't necessarily model the AP poll. So here's where the AP top 25 is right now. Top 5, Georgia, Cincinnati, Alabama, Oklahoma, Ohio State. 6 through 10, you've got Michigan, Oregon, Michigan State this weekend. We'll talk about some of the big matchups coming up. Number 9, Iowa, still floating around there. Number 10, Ole Miss. Notre Dame sitting at number 11. Number 12 is Kentucky. Wake Forest, they're kind of a wild card right now, Chase. They're unbeaten in the ACC, but haven't really played anybody. Texas A&M, Oklahoma State rounding out the top 15. 16 through 20, Baylor, Pitt, Auburn, SMU.
What a fall for Penn State,
Penn State, man, they were we were talking college football playoff a couple of weeks ago, and they're probably going to lose this week to Ohio State. And then 21 through 25, San Diego State, Iowa State, UTSA, shout out to the Roadrunners, Coastal Carolina, and then BYU sitting there at number 25. So I think this is a pretty obvious question, but Alabama fans are prideful, so we'll ask it anyway. Who should be number 1?
Roll Tide!
It's clearly Georgia, right?
It's clearly Georgia.
It's not even close.
Georgia's by far and away been the better team.
Yes. So who should be number 1? And the better question should be who should be number 2, and we'll explore that later on in the show. But who should be number 1? Shout out Georgia. Shout out other teams if you think they should be number 1, but come on, it's the Bulldogs. Before we get to our projections, Chase, there's some big games this week, man. Michigan State, Georgia, Florida is always a big-time neutral site game. Texas Tech at Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Auburn, Penn State, Ohio State. A lot of playoff ramifications on the line this weekend.
Massive. And you take a look at the landscape there. Michigan State could have huge implications, not just in the Big Ten, but in the national title conversation and for those college football playoff rankings. Georgia, would it be the craziest thing if they went down to Florida, even though Dan Mullen, his seat's a little bit warm right now? Texas Tech, Oklahoma, you expect Caleb Williams to continue to ball out, even though they got in a interesting situation last week.
First game without
with
Matt
the
Wells.
Bad Kansas team.
How does Tech play without their head coach?
I like what I've seen from Ole Miss. Shout out to Auburn for really kind of finding their groove over the last couple of weeks and finding a way to save their season and salvage it. And Penn State, Ohio State. Penn State, 18.5-point underdogs. They really need a win. They've lost back-to-back to Iowa and Illinois. I don't think they're going to get it, but I think they can cover that 18.5-point number.
We'll see what happens. These are some important games, especially Michigan State. I think we're going to find out a lot about both those teams. Are they real contenders?
Yeah.
Has the schedule just benefited both those teams?
It's going to be a telling week.
Neither has played a ranked opponent yet. Michigan State technically played Miami when they were ranked, but Miami's fallen off a cliff. So interesting games. Should be fun to watch them this weekend. We'll get to our projections in just a second, but come on. If you want more college football coverage, all you got to do is subscribe. It's 100% free. Hit that big red button, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Myself, Chase, Tom Downey. We'll break down some more college football videos for you guys. If you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. Okay, so we're going to go inverse order here, Chase, 25 to 21, and kind of break this down. These are our projections, and a couple of things to keep in mind. Number one, the committee typically does not value group of 5 teams nearly as much as they should. That's number one, which is why I was hesitant to put UTSA in there, even though they're undefeated at 25. And number two, there's always a SEC team with 3+ losses that gets in the first rankings. I could see Arkansas making it.
Easily.
They have a win over Texas A&M in Texas.
A couple of good wins this year,
NC State at 24, BYU at 23, Arkansas at 22. San Diego State at 21. We won't spend a lot of time at the back end here. We're just going to go through our ranking projections as we go.
Hey, our sportsbook partner, BetUS, the presenting sponsor for today's show. If you go to chatsports.com/bet, enter the promo code CHAT125, you get a 125% deposit bonus. We just laid out the loaded slate for this week in college football. Maybe you want to lay some lettuce down on some of these marquee matchups. If you want to do that, you can do so, and you should do so with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. You lay down $100, you get an additional $125 back using that link in that promo code. Thank you, Producer Jack.
Oh, you didn't even do the second part of the read. Come on.
That's because I was tossing it to you, but I can handle it as well.
You can handle
also, if you want a free jersey, Producer Jack's just killing the game right now. We can get you hooked up with the free jersey, whether that be a college football jersey, an NFL jersey. Here is how. So you go to chatsports.com/bet and you enter the promo code CHAT125. If you sign up and you put down $100 into your account, that's the minimum amount of money that you have to put in. You get that 125% deposit bonus back. Place a bet on any game. then you email us, jersey@chatsports.com, letting us know that you followed all of those steps. And once you do that, we will send you a free jersey of your choice. It's a great deal. Bang, bang.
It's a great deal. It's a questionable sales pitch on our job, but, we're doing what we can. SMU at number 20. I'm curious to see where the committee ranks the Mustangs this week for a couple reasons. One, they're undefeated. Two, Cincinnati, who we'll get to later on. They play SMU here in about 3 or 4 weeks, Chase.
Yeah.
That's their only marquee game left before the AAC title game. If you're Cincinnati, we know how the committee has treated G5 teams in the past. You need SMU to keep winning, and you need them to be ranked. So that's a very important point.
Honestly,
there.
an American Athletic Conference championship game between those two teams.
Houston's in the mix as well.
That'd be really interesting.
Yeah, it could be a rematch. They could play each other twice. Iowa State at 19, Pitt at 18. They would love to have that Western Michigan game back where they somehow lost that
Seriously.
game.
Kenny Pickett's been balling.
Otherwise, it could be Pitt, Wake Forest in the ACC title game.
What world do we live in?
Unbelievable. Auburn at number 17, and then we have Baylor at number 16, the only one loss so far this year. Speaking of Wake Forest, I only have them at 15, Chase. I know how this committee works. I've studied it a lot. Yes, they're undefeated. Yes, they're a Power 5. No one cares about Wake Forest. The committee does not value non-blue bloods that much, and they don't have a signature win. They will not be ranked in the top 10. I can almost guarantee that.
No, they're not going to be ranked in the top 10, I think.
Fair or not.
Solely because of the conference that they play in a bad and down ACC
It's
conference.
not fair to them because they keep winning,
Yeah.
but it's the reality of it. Number 14, Oklahoma State, who has a loss, but they've played a much tougher schedule than Wake. Texas A&M at 13, 2 losses, but A, SEC, B, they beat Alabama. So the committee's going to value that, I can promise you. Notre Dame at number 12. Their one loss to Cincinnati, who should be in the top 5. Then Kentucky at 11, their one loss to Georgia, and they were actually fairly competitive in that game, Chase.
Yeah, no, they were. So it's really interesting how the 11 through 15 kind of shakes out. A lot of good teams here, but a lot of teams with uncertain futures over the next couple of weeks, and it's all about to play out before our eyes.
Before we get to the top 10, this is an interesting question. Does Wake Forest make the playoff if they're undefeated? It would be a new precedent to leave out a Power 5 unbeaten champion. So I actually think the committee would consider leaving them out. I don't think that's fair because it's like, what else can we do if we win all our games and we're in a Power 5 conference?
Right.
But it wouldn't shock me with how bad the ACC is this year. What do you guys think? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. I think it would be criminal to leave them out, but it wouldn't shock me either. I think they'll end up losing a game because their defense is so bad, but man, that's going to be fascinating over the next several weeks. Let's get into this is we'll get this updated in just a second here. What do you think Wake gets left out if they win out?
I do, because I don't think the ACC has been good, and it's unfortunate because if Wake Forest goes on to have the best season in the history of the program, that's great news, and that's awesome. That's a great achievement. And if they win the ACC championship game over a team like Pitt, you going to give them the benefit of the doubt?
Well,
I don't think you can.
Well,
right?
my thing, too, is if it comes down to Wake or Cincinnati unbeaten, Cincinnati has much better wins.
Yes.
On the road against Notre Dame, at Indiana.
I keep going back to this. Like, Cincy went toe-for-toe with Georgia last year, so they're highly legit.
All right, had to fix a graphic on the fly. Let's get to 6 through 10 here. This is where it really gets interesting, Chase, because – and we'll get to the question of who should be number 2 momentarily because I think there's like 7 schools in the hunt for it, which is very weird. By the way, this is a typo. Iowa State's not. This is Iowa at 10. So let's fix that. It's Iowa at 10, not Iowa State. The Hawkeyes at 10. We already did Iowa State. Ole Miss at number 9. And then let's talk about this game for a second, Chase. The loser of Michigan State, we kind of have to guesstimate where they're going to fall. If it's
a close game.
Assuming that game's close,
Yeah.
which neither offense is great, I think that's a low-scoring Big Ten
I agree.
classic. I think the loser's still in the top 10. We'll get to where the winner would fall in our opinions. Oregon, Ohio State. What do you do there? Because Oregon beat Ohio State in Columbus, but they haven't been playing as well of late. They lost to Stanford. I think knowing this committee, they're going to rank Ohio State higher, but should they? Probably not. Winning head-to-head should matter.
What a wild path for Ohio State this year and for C.J. Stroud.
Yes.
Ohio State to start the season was not a good team. C.J. Stroud was struggling mightily. but they've been one of the hottest and best college football teams over the last month. And Oregon, on the other hand, since that win against Ohio State,
They've been very shaky.
They've been shaky. And it was a good win against UCLA, but they just haven't been the same team, and the consistency worries
It's the battle of Oregon beat them head-to-head on the road and pretty easily, if we're being honest.
Yes, they did.
But if they played again, I think we would both pick Ohio State.
And this is different than the Texas A&M argument from last year when they were like,
Yes.
oh, you only had that one loss to Alabama.
Got blown out.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, the reason it's tricky, too, though, is like, shouldn't that win matter, though, for Oregon? Like,
it has to.
They beat them on the road.
At their place.
Come on. It's
At
tricky. So who should be ranked higher? Type ORE for Oregon, type OSU for Ohio State. I selfishly hope they win out to see what this committee does. I really do. Just recap 6 through 10. It's Iowa at 10. We've got that fixed. Sorry about that. Iowa State down, I believe, at 19. But that's where we sit. Michigan State, Michigan loser at number 8. All right, so let's get to the top 5. And I think really all the way down to 7, where Oregon is, they could all have somewhat of an argument for that number 2 spot. Georgia's clearly won. We don't need to spend much time there. If they beat Florida this week, Chase, they will be number 1. Agreed?
Yeah, I agree. I
no
totally
doubt
agree.
about it. So the question is, what do you do with the rest of this? I believe Cincinnati deserves to be number 2 because the win at Notre Dame is better than what any of these other teams have done.
Yeah.
Would I pick Cincinnati to beat Alabama? No. But do they have a better resume? Yes.
Yes.
They're unbeaten.
What's Alabama's marquee win?
Is it have they played Arkansas yet? Oh, it's Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
Which that was a nice win, but it was at home.
Yeah.
I think at Notre Dame's a better win.
I agree.
And they're unbeaten.
Yes. And look, it's not just this year. This goes back to last year
Cincinnati
as well.
has proven this over
With
about
the coach.
2.5 years now with the same coach and basically the same core players. I've got the winner of Michigan State at 3. Maybe you could argue them at 2, but outside of whoever wins that game of that win, which would be a very impressive win, neither of those teams have played a hard schedule.
No.
So are you in agreement with this? I mean, this is kind of how Oklahoma has been close every week.
Look,
they're unbeaten, so they should be ahead of Alabama.
Yeah, I'm high on Cincinnati for a couple of reasons. They've been on a torrid winning streak for the last 2 years, and they played really good football. They went toe-for-toe with Georgia last year, should have beat them in that bowl game. They have the better schedule and the better wins among all of these teams.
Yes.
We'll see what happens with Michigan State. Obviously, how that game is played is going to be telling. Oklahoma, let's be real.
They should be
with Caleb Williams, are a different team, but they've been spotty this year.
They should be penalized for playing close a lot,
yes,
in my opinion.
And
now, they're
I
still in
agree.
the top 4, and that's all where you need to be.
And Alabama, if they were to play Georgia right now, I can't come to the realization that Stetson Bennett might win a national championship game, but I think Georgia's the better team this year, and they have the better defense.
And Alabama lost to Texas A&M.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is how I would do it, depending on how these games play out this weekend, but it's going to be very interesting. I can't remember a time, Chase, where we've entered the first CFP rankings, and sure, number 1 is very clear-cut if Georgia wins this weekend. After that, though,
who the hell knows?
I don't know what they're going to do. They might put Alabama number 2.
This is a good question that we're going to pop up.
It wouldn't
here.
shock me at all. So who should be number 2?
Yeah.
We kind of just gave our reasons. I would put Cincinnati at number 2. And let me tell you this too, Chase. If you're the committee and you put Cincinnati at number 2, surely there's no possible way you could leave them out if they go undefeated.
No,
you cannot set that precedent of putting them at number 2 in the initial
Again,
rankings.
a 2-year sample size here that we're talking about.
And they went out and you drop them all the way to 5 or lower. There's no way you can do it, which probably means they won't put them at 2 this week to protect themselves from that possibility. But we'll let you guys debate who should be number 2 in the first rankings. This is why the committee, while they're so maddening, it's so fun because you start playing the scenario. What if this happens? What if Ohio State and Oregon win out and it's down to those 2 for the final spot? Who gets in? Like I think that's the most interesting scenario right now is if both those teams went out because clearly Big Ten's tougher strength of schedule. Ohio State's playing better, but Oregon beat them head-to-head on the road.
Yep.
They'd both be conference champs.
Yeah.
What do you do?
And Ohio State does deserve credit for rebounding after that slow start because really it's not like they've gotten on a roll just with the matter of wins. It's how they've won these games. They're crushing people. And C.J. Stroud has gone from being potentially benched to being second in the Heisman Trophy.
He might win it.
He might win it too. It's a wild development.
But it's just, you can't ignore what happened in Columbus. Oregon beat them.
Yeah, Robert Bruce, Cincinnati. South Dakota State, Jackrabbits from Tom Downey's burner account. Alabama is Georgia's kryptonite from Hosni, and they are. There's no question.
I will say this. This is the year, if a G5 team is going to get into this current system, it's this year. Because the ACC, I don't think they're getting a team in. Even if Wake wins out, I don't think they will. But even if they do, I think Cincinnati's got a stronger argument. And then the Pac-12, they're one Oregon loss away from being eliminated as a conference. So
Jack loves the Pac-12.
So I think Cincinnati, ASU.
He's one of the only ones who does.
ASU, he's one of the 12 people at Pac-12 games when you watch those Pac-12 After Dark games. But it is what it is. All right, we got one more segment to go, which is fun because we're making our picks against the spread in the NFL. But Jack cooked this one up. Who do you like more, Chase or me? Type C for Chase, type H for Harrison. Marsh cooked it up, I should say. All right, Marsh. Yeah, get that fireball flowing. If we get another $5 super, we'll rip another shot. Oh, if we get to 100 likes,
we'll take another shot.
We're
so we need
94.
6 more likes. 6
more likes, and we'll rip more shots. Like this video.
Yeah, just like the video.
Let's get it going.
It's pretty simple.
Like or, well, some have left.
We're at 95. 5 more. We take
5
some
more
more
likes.
shots.
We'll take a shot.
Just hit the thumbs up icon.
Yeah,
Come on now.
It's free. That's all you got to do. Cameron says me. Tom Downey's burner says Tom Downey. Well, he's not in the poll, so C for Sam. But C for Sam, that didn't even make sense.
Cam?
C for Cam? He's been gone for about 4 years.
Hey.
Why would you type C for Sam? What does that mean?
Hey, he's still the man.
Doesn't make any sense. All right, we'll take a shot after this next segment. Let's wrap this up. Let's get
Harrison's got a play to go to.
Yeah. I got to go watch some middle school students. All right. Yeah, like the video. Let's get to 100 likes.
96.
Otherwise Marsh's
4 more away from
drinking
taking
habits
shots.
Aren't going to get reached. So like this video so we can keep
Guy
this
goes
thing
from the
going.
hookah lounge to work.
All right, NFL
Hookah
Week
lounge.
8 is about to be here. Thursday Night Football coming up. We're not going to look at that game, but we will make
98.
our office picks against the spread. Let's get to 100 likes. We'll take a shot after this segment. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. NFL Week 8 is here, and we are ready to make our picks against the spread as an entire Chat Sports office. We'll focus on my picks and Chase's picks, and then we will kind of go rapid fire through the rest of the office as well.
You don't want to focus on my picks.
The standings are heating up here, and we'll see where Chase ends up. Tom is at 22-13. Thomas Mott, 19-14-2. James, Petey, and Marshall all at 19-16. Above 500 as well, Jack Lotteray and Sam Brown. I have rallied from 1-14 to 17-18. It's a historic month. 16-4 from your boy here. I'm up to number 8. Brett Scott, Mitchell Renz at 16-19. Jeremy Beadling at 15-20, as is Trace Gerard. Jeffrey Cooperstein at 12-22-1. And Chase Sr., oh, where'd he go? He's hiding. He's soft because he's 12-23. It's a bloodbath for Chase Sr. Type boo to boo Chase because, holy smokes, he's just he's so embarrassed right now. I mean, his face is tomato red. It's just rough. I guess I'll carry the rest of the segment. Oh, he's back. He's hey, you're going 5-0 this week, right?
5-0. That's what I said last week and the week before that and the week before that.
Hey, well, we'll see your picks momentarily. What is your lock in Week 8?
I master in takes, not bets.
We won't let Chase give us his lock because we'll fade that. But let us know what your guys' lock of the week is. Over, under, spread. Let's hear it in the chat. What is your Week 8 lock for this week in the NFL season? We'll get to Chase's picks in a second, but since I'm 16-4 the last month, we'll go ahead and start with me. Here's what I'm feeling.
Nice. Flex.
Hey, man, I'll never be on a heater like this again, all right? I got to pump myself up.
Never say never, but never.
But never, yes.
As Mike Tomlin said.
Yeah, as Mike Tomlin would say. I'm getting hammered in college, so, it had to flip in the NFL. Bills minus 14, huge number, but the Dolphins are a mess. Tua, I think he doesn't feel like his future is much longer in Miami. I think the Bills hammer the Dolphins at home. Over 42.5 in the Steelers-Browns game. The Sharps love the over in this game. That's a low number. I know there's injury concerns with the whole Baker situation. We'll see if it's him or Case Keenum. But I like the over there. Over 48, Philly and Detroit. Both those offenses at times can score points, and both those defenses suck. So I think the 48 feels like a really good bet there. Chargers -5 against the Patriots, coming off a bye week. Patriots got to fly cross country. I like this for LA quite a bit, even though New England's playing better. And then I know there's been question marks around Dak Prescott's availability. Sounds like he's going to play, though. -2 at Minnesota. I know it's a road game. I know the Vikings are kind of a sneaky team. They play a lot of close games. I like Dallas by a field goal or more. Those are my 5 picks this week. Hey, if you want to make money like me, go bet on me with chatsports.com/bet, promo code chat125 with BetUS. All right, Chase, what are you cooking up this week?
Yeah, I am the New York Jets of sports gambling, and I
were
know
hot
that the
last
comment
year.
section is probably a bloodbath. This guy's a joke. I master in takes, not bets. But last year I was hitting 60%, so I don't know what the hell has happened. I'm just delusional, I guess. I like the Colts pick 'em against the Titans. They're really good at home against Tennessee historically. Saints getting 6 at home against Tampa Bay. I know that Jameis Winston hasn't really played all that well, but that number's way too large for me. I think the Chargers coming off the bye week are able to cover that 5-point number against the New England Patriots. Mac Jones going from East Coast to West Coast. I like LA. I'm not siding with you, Harrison. I think the Vikings can win this game or at least lose by 2 or less.
I'm feeling even better
Minnesota
about that
+2. I'm sure you do.
I'm
and then
sorry,
the Giants +10 at KC. What tells you that KC is going to win by more than a touchdown?
I didn't bet that game.
It's a get-right game. We've been saying that for weeks.
Yeah.
KC sucks.
They suck. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, let's get producer Jack involved on the show. You know, he's been a little quiet today. He's getting ready to watch a movie
Yeah,
tonight.
he's got that Patriots hat
Jack,
on.
let's feel it here. You didn't bet on the Pats. What's going on? Not feeling it?
They're playing the Chargers.
So?
They're playing the Chargers. I'm
All
not
right.
confident at all.
All right.
Titans pick 'em against the Colts. Very confident in Derrick Henry. I don't know why this is a pick 'em, but whatever. Buccaneers -5.5. Tom Brady's the GOAT. Cowboys -2. I'm very confident in the Cowboys as well. Buffalo, Miami over. Bengals -11. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. I mean, just an ultimate duo. And that's what I'm rocking with
Yeah,
this
I know
week.
that. I know that game's in New York, but dude, the Jets are just terrible. I think the Bengals are rolling. They're not going to mess around in that game. I'm with you on that one. I'm going to go with Cincinnati. I didn't bet it, but I'm sure as fuck not betting on Mike White. That's for sure. All right, appreciate your picks there, Jack. Who will have the better week this week? Will it be Chase, type C? Will it be me, type H? Will it be Jack, type J? I'm probably due for a bad week.
Cowboys -2.5 now, by the way.
Ooh, I'm glad I got it at
COO Brett.
Glad I got it at 2.
Yeah.
Feeling good about that one. So let us know, CHJ, who's going to have the
Harris is
best
gonna do the
record
full thing.
between us 3 this week. If you want to go make some money and bet on the NFL this weekend, I tweet out my picks every Sunday, so if you forget, you can check that out as well. Chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code chat125. And for you new BetUS customers, if you put down $100 into your account, and guess what? We can get you guys a brand new jersey by following these steps. Go to chatsports.com/bet, promo code chat125. Deposit that initial 100, you get 125 for free. All you got to do, place a bet on any game for any amount, and we will hook you guys up with a brand new jersey. All you got to do is email us, jersey@chatsports.com. Once we verify that you've created a new account, we will be able to hook you guys up with a brand new jersey. All right, let's go rapid fire here, Chase. I'll lead us off with the office picks. Tom Downey, he likes Detroit +3.5. At some point they have to win, he says. We'll see if it happens. Titans -1. Could have got it as a pick 'em, but he didn't. Bucks -5.5. He's got the Browns -3.5, and then the Chiefs -10.
Thomas Mott, 19, 14, and 2. Falcons -3. Lions +3.5. Titans -1.
Chargers -5.5. Bucks -5.5. I'll take that one over. Let's go to James while Chase regroups here. Jets +11 against the Bengals. Why is anyone betting on the Jets? That's a joke. Seahawks -3. Saints +6. He's with Chase on that one. 49ers -4. This might be the Harrison segment from here on out. And then the under between the Chargers and the Patriots. We'll sort of bring Chase back in here. Who do you like to bet on more? What do you like to bet on more? Type F for favorites, type U for underdogs. Let us know down in the comments. F for favorites, U for underdogs. Not F you. Just type F for you.
You
How
could
about
say
that?
F you to me because my bets are so bad.
Yeah, Andy's losing his mind during this seggy here. I guess we're sticking with me, Matthew Peterson, who's 19 and 16. He didn't bet on the Broncos this week. Falcons -3, Bengals -10.5, Jags +3, the over Washington and Denver. So he did go with the over in the Broncos game, and then the over in the Saints and the Bucks game.
Mark saying Chase needs a medic. I do. Money Marsh, 19 and 16. He's been raking in that cash. Cowboys -2. Again, it's at 2.5 now. 49ers -4 against the Bears. They need a win. They've lost 4 in a row. Titans pick 'em against Indy. His G-men +10. That probably means that they're not going to cover. And then the Bengals -11 against the Jets. Sam Brown, 18 and 17, a game over 500. He's really redeemed himself. He's been hot over the last couple of weeks. Over for Buffalo, Miami at 49.5. Lions +3.5 against Philadelphia. Bucks -5.5 against New Orleans. Chargers -5. And the over for Dallas, Minnesota 55. I could see that being a high-scoring game.
Brett Scott at 16 and 19. He likes the Falcons -3 against Carolina. I actually like that one as well. Carolina's struggling. Jags +3 at Seattle. Bengals -11 against the Jets. The over in that Detroit-Philly game, and then the under in that Chargers-Patriots game. Those at 48 and 49. Subscribe today for more NFL videos throughout the season. By the way, the NFL trade deadline coming up on Tuesday. We'll be live for that, breaking down every single move that happens. So subscribe. Do not miss any of that coverage at youtube.com/chatsportstv. More NFL videos all season long.
I think I can catch Mitch this week. He's at 16 and 19, or some people confuse that with 6 and 9. Bills -13.5 against the Dolphins. Miami's just free falling right now. Rams -14.5. Titans -1. It's now pick'em. Bucks -5.5 against the Saints. Lions +3.5 against the Eagles.
Jeremy Beadley, we call him Chugs. We call him Jeremy Bleeds. We call him the food connoisseur. Eagles +3.5. Titans -1. Panthers +3. Bills -13.5. And then the Vikings at +2.
Trace Gerard, Woo Pig. Titans -1 against the Colts. He likes the Bucks, Cowboys, Seahawks at -3. Some popular bets from Sharps going with the Jags +3 on the road. Bills -14 against the Dolphins.
Oh, sorry. Let me put my cup down here. Jeffrey Cooperstein -2. Cowboys -2. Falcons -3. Titans +1. Bills -14. And then the over between Buffalo and Miami. So those are our picks of the week against the spread. We'll update you every single week on our office standings. All right, we didn't bet on this game because some people won't watch that video until after Thursday Night Football. Who you got? Type GB for the Pack, ARI for the Cardinals, Chase. Who's going to win tonight?
I think the Cardinals win. I think the Packers cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
We
hit 100
shot,
likes.
by the way. Yeah,
Come
we got
on.
yeah,
Bartender
we
March.
100 likes.
We barely made it. Yeah, we're
it is over.
No.
Nah. Shit's for the birds.
Right. Push us full screen, Jack. Come on.
GB for the Packers, ARI for the Cardinals. We'll take a shot before we head out of here.
We're the full
We
screen
also got
boys.
a super chat, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Yeah, come on, Jack.
This kid's struggling.
I said I had to leave early. Looks like he's trying to leave early.
Hey,
Thanks.
watch it.
Pour it in your mouth.
Watch it.
Pour me up, doctor.
Let's see. SM says GB. I'll read the super chat real quick. Not going to bring up the Astros. Bang the Cans. Hey, 1-1 series.
Anybody got any trash
Hey,
cans around here?
if that goes 7, who knows? Maybe we'll do a watch party for Game 7.
That's right, baby.
We'll see it. Hey, cheers.
AGT, another one in the book.
Best audience yet. Appreciate
sir.
you guys for tuning in. We'll be live next week. Maybe we'll stick with this time slot. Who knows? We'll see.
That'd be nice.
We'll see what's in the
that'd be
works.
nice.
So, cheers. For Money Marsh, we call him Bartender Marsh as of today. Chase Sr.,
As of today.
Jack Lauderay, the rest of the Chat Sports staff who help us come live and bring you the latest around the sports world. Appreciate all of you. We'll see you guys next week here on Any Given Thursday.